Hey everybody, my name is Jake, and I am a former Jehovah's Witness, current Waffle House breakfast digester, and this is Sunday service. Every week we check in with my old cult Jehovah's Witnesses and see what they're up to, and sometimes other cults and high control groups. This is going to be a great show. It's live, it's a hangout. Sometimes we learn things, a lot of times we don't, and it's just rambling. But thank you for being here today. We have a special guest coming up. Sometimes on this channel, I like to do a call-in show, a religious trauma call-in show. People can call in, talk about their experiences, leaving a high control religion or whatever, or just call in and yell at me if they want. But I was going to do that earlier this week, and my life has just been really busy, so I didn't have a chance to, and I had to cancel. So we're going to try and do a little bit of that today while I see if this text that I just got is spam. Yeah, it is. This is greeting. So I got one greeting. Greeting, I'm Nora, a recruiter of Berkeley Search Company. We have a remote job. Are you interested in work? Does anybody get these texts from like random scam people just being like, hey, want a job? I work for Media Corporation number 3, and my name's Flim Flam. Thank you. This Alice in Wonderland art was brought to you by Christina. She got it to me as a gift, and I need to put it in a frame, and I just don't have a frame that is that size, and I've been lazy, but I wanted to put it up because it is indeed extremely cool. So we've got guests. XJW Caleb is going to be joining us here. I do just want to briefly, and maybe I can bring in our special guests after I do a little bit of complaining myself, but what we normally do right up top when people are kind of filtering in and finding their seats at the meeting or whatever your equivalent of a church is, Kingdom Hall Boy over here, I usually like to complain about YouTube right up.
Oh, happy day. All worldly complaining about YouTube.
Yes. So most of the time these days, I'm actually just apologizing for being bad at uploading regularly to YouTube. So sorry that I haven't been uploading as frequently. But the videos I've been putting out are really good. I am going for quality over quantity this year, and the algorithm is not a fan of that at all. And also, I don't really know what I'm doing. I started this live stream channel, Small Worldly, because the streams were kind of getting big, like bigger than the videos that I was actually putting effort into. And so I made a second channel for those, for the streams, but then that was a disaster and nobody watched them. And then my channel totally fell out of the algorithm. And so I don't know what I'm doing, to be quite honest, but I do think at a certain point when we get into the meat of the stream, I am going to kind of direct people over to the Small World channel, maybe. But that's where this stream is going to live afterwards. And the idea is that like stream highlights and stuff are going to be uploaded there. I had an editor working with me, and it's we just, we're both doing this in our free time, and so it's just is hard to manage. So thank you for being patient. More stuff coming. Good reasons that I entirely talk about yet. My headphone, I believe, just got disconnected, which is not, but in the meantime, I'm going to bring in another person who likes to complain about YouTube sometimes, a fellow YouTuber, and finishing a sip of something person, my friend, and yours, Danny, aka XJW Caleb.
Hello, it's me, Caleb, and welcome to another live stream. I do like how I'm calling in to join people calling in. I do like that. That is a wonderful thing, right? But however, don't think that I didn't notice how last time you invited, I think, like, was it heliocentric? Like you
That's right. It was supposed to be heliocentric.
Yeah, and you put him like all over like the thumbnail and the title.
I know.
I'm nowhere to be seen in the thumbnail and title, so
that. To be perfectly honest, is just because
all of you guys were fooled into joining a live stream with me and you. So yeah, good. Well, you put me on a cover like that, I'm not gonna attract anyone,
If it's any consolation, I know that about me too, and I am also not on the thumbnail for this stream. There's nobody involved with the stream is involved. I'm thinking about putting Bo in there, trying
Jake
that.
Is on the thumbnail. It's a different Jake, obviously.
That's true. The thumbnail is Jake Rumpf, governing body member.
Jacob Rumpf, exactly.
Jakey Rumpy, who we love so much, but maybe not enough to actually talk about the governing body update. I don't actually know. But so how are you doing, by the way? Because you and I are friends, but I haven't actually talked to you voice to voice in a little bit. We're always WhatsApping.
Yeah, we're friends.
What's
But we
happening?
don't really talk like friends. So. Like, we don't,
No,
but no,
no, we're very formal. I call you Mr. Caleb.
I call you Mr. Old Worley, sir.
Yeah.
You'll ask
Senor
me to do it,
sometimes.
which I found it weird, but I'm used to it now. Oh, everything's cool. I just uploaded a video recently, just talking about like the recent governing body update and how that proves that the Jehovah's Witnesses are not really a charity. And tomorrow I'm uploading a video that is already done. You can actually watch it if you're a patron or YouTube supporter, about kingdom halls that became churches that were sold and transformed into Babylon the Great offices, basically. And I think I have been trying to make a lot of like videos that is just like more wide appeal, more fun, but also, you know, in a way that I can just like get to Jehovah's Witnesses as well. And I feel like that kind of like entry level videos, like if I was an ex Jehovah's Witness, a Jehovah's Witness, just like wondering about this stuff, I would want to watch a video about like kingdom halls that were sold to Babylon the Great, because maybe that would be like, oh no, that would be awakening in some form. So that's
I think you and I have this kind of schizophrenic approach to the channel which that's not the best way to say it, but we have an approach where like some videos are definitely really specifically not appealing to Jehovah's Witnesses, and some are like only trying to appeal to Jehovah's Witnesses. And do you think that has anything to do with why we're some of the least popular XJW YouTubers?
I think if I knew why we were some of the least popular YouTubers, I would have to actually know anything about YouTube, and then we wouldn't actually be the least popular, right? So I feel like, you know, I don't know anything. You know, I'm an idiot, hence no and no. You know, like that would be my answer.
Same here. Two idiot buddies here. Now, okay, I had raised your volume a little bit. Lo said Caleb is a lot quieter. You sound normal to me, but sound off in chat if anybody else is experiencing that, because I tried turning them up manually a little bit on my end. Now, you already talked to the governing body update. We've both, and you talked about the charity angle. I have not seen this yet. Maybe we'll watch a little bit of it later. I just got another text from
short update.
Maybe Nora. My phone was like, hey, maybe that's Nora. Earlier, my perhaps future
was not
employer.
sure of who that was.
Well, this might be the person who had this amazing job opportunity. It's like in your like iPhone, if somebody says their name in the text, the iPhone will be like, maybe it's this person. It's really weird.
That is weird. It's a good thing that I don't have an iPhone. Like I would really dislike for my electronics to be unsure about things. Like that's not a feature that I would.
We're trying our best. Yeah. Okay, let's get into some things. Now, you don't really like you said, neither of us really know how YouTube is supposed to work. I wanted to, before we get into the like stuff on jw.org and maybe some news stories and take some calls, I was doing some research for something else this morning and came across a couple old watchtowers that really blew my mind. Watchtowers being the flagship Jehovah's Witness magazine, if you don't know. Right now,
I did. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, in case you don't know. I know that the audience definitely knows that, but you, hard to say. But
I think I'm the only one in this live stream, by the way.
No, we have upwards of 59 people watching this stream, maybe.
There's dozens of us.
There's literally dozens. So I was doing research. I found this article, and it is an old article from the 1950s, still on Watchtower Online Library, about disfellowshipping. And I wanted to talk about it a little bit just because in Norway, Jehovah's Witnesses won their appeal against the government and were able to kind of restore their funding. It was weird. You can watch...
Not yet, but sure.
Yeah, both of us have talked about this on our channels if you want to go back and watch for full context. But for right now, Jehovah's Witnesses, won that appeal, and there is a question about, or at least there was a question on the courts in Norway about whether or not it really is mandatory, the shunning practices. Like, they kind of seemed to misunderstand the Watchtower viewpoint. And so I've got...
Yeah, they think like it's voluntary enough, right?
Yes, exactly. And so I wanted to shout out this article. It has some really crazy quotes, and
that's not an article. That's a docs. That's a document.
This is my Google Doc. It is currently not in the form of an article, and for some reason I can't open it from the doc. So I'm just going to open this in another tab. Okay, so this is still on their official website. And
zoom in a bit so I can see it a little bit better.
What if I do that? And then how do I zoom?
Is that possible or no?
How do I make it? There's a shortcut on the keyboard of some kind. I'm certain of it, but I don't know how. So this is still on the website, and reading this, in my opinion, I think this is kind of the best article remaining about how their disfellowshipping practice actually works in practice, like how the members view it, and just how much, like, they've changed the superficial wording of things in more recent articles, but this stuff that is still there and is still on their website, and that the majority of their older base of supporters or worshipers, like, this is what they grew up with, right? So yeah. It says first, like, is it proper to disfellowship? Yes, as we have just seen in the above article, as of the previous article there. God put out of his congregation those who were opposed to him and that were corrupt. He disfellowshipped them. He got rid of them, and he advises us to do so with such persons. And what it says at some point here, let me see. It's... sorry, I tried to do a Control F. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Shemp, for a super sticker.
Ooh, thank you, Dr. Shemp. Maybe he's thanking us for this beautiful quote from God's bounteous spiritual harvest. Yes, Jehovah will disfellowship those who become lawless, turn to darkness, and set up idols. He will expel such persons from his organization. If you want to be of the Lord's organization, keep clean of the devil's world. If you do not want to, then get out of it. Those who are impure, immoral, and are not spiritually fit for God's organization. If such lukewarm compromisers or apostates do not voluntarily get out of the organization, then under his direction, the organization itself will put them out.
That was so like, look,
very clear.
I've talked about this in my channel, but don't you think that it was way better when Jehovah's Witnesses were like this, like outright, like defending their beliefs and being like, no, get effed. Like, if you don't want to do it, we're gonna disfellowship you, and you're disgusting. Like, now I feel like they use a lot of double talk and like with everything, you know, like,
yes.
Do we like gay people? Oh, I mean, we don't judge anybody. Like, no, like, they still dislike gay people just as much, right? But they're not outright in their dislike. And I feel it's the same with disfellowshipping. They still disfellowship people, just like this article is from the 50s is saying to disfellowship people. But now they're like, oh, we call them removal now, and we're allowed to like say hi to them in the congregation. So it's not, you know, they're more coy about it. I feel like I would respect them more if they were just like as outright about their beliefs as they were before. Like, it feels like now they're not as brave as they used to be about their beliefs anymore.
Yeah, there's that. I've referenced Innuendo Studios a few times on this channel. He's got that video about the death of a euphemism. You know, that when an extremist movement hits a certain point, they no longer have to use euphemisms. You know, maybe they're not under scrutiny. They've captivated their base, and there's no need for them to use dog whistles and euphemisms. And then there are times when they need to do that, when those things aren't as publicly accepted. But their base actual beliefs never really go away. It's just how they're modifying it in their public-facing literature. And I think about that when it comes to this. So, like, this is really, really bananas. So one thing that Jehovah's Witnesses consistently say in court, of course, is that it's a personal choice, and that the family dynamic is not broken up. It's not broken apart. That parents don't have to shun their kids. Of course, they clearly do say that they do have to do that in their actual publications. But anyway, this along what you were saying is a lot clearer. Now, what about private home meetings? Under no circumstances should he, meaning the disfellowshipped person, be welcomed or allowed to enter a private home, because the scriptures are very definite on this point. So then in our home Bible studies, or what we call area studies, the person of the house, being one of God's organization, should keep him out. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. So then in your private homes, you would never open the door and allow that one, the disfellowshipped one, to come in. You would never extend your hand in fellowship to such an individual. Remember, that individual at one time left the devil's organization. He was washed clean by the blood of Christ. He dedicated himself to God, and God consecrated him for service. He was a minister. Now he has gone corrupt, because he chooses to do so. He is sinning against the Holy Spirit. He is fighting against God. We cannot have anything to do with him. God is the one that is judging him, and he is using his servants in the earth to point that one out for the protection of the rest of the congregation.
Why can't it be like this? Why, like, this is from the 50s.
Yes.
Why can't, like, this is literally what they still believe. They believe it. It's just they don't print it like this anymore. They still believe everything you read, though. Exactly. You and I, we are apostates. We get treated like that from Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, the treatment is literally the same. Like, over half a century later, it's just they're not as clear about that anymore. And you know, unfortunately, governments fail to notice that. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Like, what, you know, it's what they believe because they feel comfortable with this being on their website. Really crazy old Russell teachings aren't on there, where, you know, he had a totally different understanding of like what the 144,000 was or whatever. Like, you know, they don't put that stuff on the website, but they're comfortable with Jehovah's Witnesses in their personal research on how to handle things as a Jehovah's Witness. They're comfortable with witnesses finding this information, because I think you're right. They do still believe this. And like, this really gets to the heart of how harsh reinstatement is too. Can a disfellowship person be reinstated, get back into the organization? Yes, he can if he repents, but he has to go farther than that. He must be converted. He must change his whole course of action. It is not just a matter of saying, I'm sorry I did it, I was wrong. He has to prove that he is willing to take an altogether different course of life than that which he has taken. He should make an open confession of his sins and ask for forgiveness of the committee that drew up the resolution to disfellowship him. He should go to the persons concerned, blah, blah, blah. Oh, sorry. That actually wasn't even the thing I meant to read. But that's a setup for this. So they talk about Paul, kind of the same thing that they talk about in their new publications, using Paul's justifications. So can a person be reinstated? Yes. Where else would a person go if he sinned against God and he really repented? We do not mean he may brazenly come back and say, well, I'm sorry about it. Fix me up, boys. I want to get back in the congregation. No, there has to be a cutting off of the heart. Sorry, a cutting of the heart. There has to be a hurting of the mind. He has to show repentance. He has to be sad about it and change his course. There has to be a hurting of the mind.
It's insane. That is like, he needs to be broken. No. You can't just say, I'm sorry. You need to see how broken he is now. And it's amazing because you don't really, like, people still do this. Like Jehovah's Witnesses and elders, like they just changed it, right? So it's a little bit easier to come back to Jehovah or whatever. But when it's like a recent thing or whatever, and they just got this fellowship, Jehovah's Witnesses will still do exactly this. And some elders are young enough where they don't even know exactly why they do it, because they've never seen it in writing except for, you know, in the elders manual. But before, they used to just put her in the watchtower. Like, come on, just I would love it if Jehovah's Witnesses we're not afraid. We're not cowards about their beliefs anymore, and we're just, you know, printing it like this, because now I really feel like this is a huge problem that governments are just not ready to handle. Like, cults like this are like, oh no, these are all things. Look at the new publications. We've never posted about this anymore. We've never posted about this in the last few decades, but this is still valid. and governments are just not prepared to realize that the nuances of dog whistles and of cult indoctrination, and how they get away with believing in this kind of like rhetoric without actually printing it. It's very pernicious, and I don't think it's not even government's fault. We as humanity are just unprepared for this so far, you know, in psychology and all that stuff.
I've been feeling that too. Like it is very, very difficult to hold to account a group that is brainwashing people into being harmful, doing harmful things, because it is a complicated intersection of like free speech and freedom of religion, and what's the difference between like a crime and something that's morally damaging and unethical, like what Shield Society said here, emotional violence much. That's what the Norwegian courts are trying to determine. They're progressive enough to have some kind of conception of emotional violence, but that is obviously much more difficult to prove than physical violence. But I think when you see this, these quotes where it has to hurt, they have to feel pain. What else could you possibly call that but emotional violence? And I would really reiterate that to like the Norwegian courts or whatever, that this is what comes up on the website when you type the word disfellowship, right? It's not like I had to really go digging. It came up actually like right at the top, because it says the word disfellowship the most. Like it just says it more in this article than other articles. So if any witness searches that term, they're just as likely to find it as me. And this is what they are encouraged to do, is to look up stuff like this.
Yeah.
When they're wondering, how should I treat my disfellowshipped relative or whatever?
Yeah. Chandler has an interesting comment. He says, I don't know, man. That sounds pretty anti-rights. First, they came for the witnesses. Now, I would argue that you should just look up the how tolerance cannot accept intolerance. You cannot have, if you want a tolerant society, you cannot accept intolerance. That is the one thing you have to be intolerant about. So when a religion or any kind of group is taking away people's rights, then you need to, at the very least, not give them a tax exempt status so they can do it as easy as possible. Like you can just like be like, you know what? You're not really a religion. You're an abusive group. And therefore, we're not going to give you, our funds. We're not going to support it, right? I'm not saying Jehovah's Witnesses should be jailed, all of them. No, not at all. The only thing that ideally what should happen is that the governing body should be held accountable for all of the things that they've printed, all of the things that they've said, and all of the harmful things that they force Jehovah's Witnesses to believe in, right? No Jehovah's Witness should get persecuted like this, because at the end of the day, the only responsible ones are the one at the top, the governing body, and they are the only ones who are damaging people. So when the governing body is taking away rights, then you kind of have to go in with the government and be like, no, wait. We are the government. We are for the rights. That's illegal. You shouldn't do it. And then just try to remove the power that they have to take away the rights, not to print whatever they want or to say whatever they want, but just to damage people. That would be my argument about that, because it's a very common argument that I feel like you see in the comments all the time. Like if you get the kind of comments that I get.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you broke it down so well, because that is something that we talk about, because it is kind of complicated philosophically, but you know that if you say to a group of religious people like Jehovah's Witnesses that it's perfectly acceptable to let your children die if they need a blood transfusion because that's your right, well, that doesn't actually make society freer and fairer. It makes it more dangerous and less safe, because those children aren't given accurate, informed consent about blood. Right? They're raised in this information silo where they're being lied to. They're not actually considering the real like medical information. And so it can be difficult to be like, if you allow lies to proliferate and allow other people to proliferate those lies, it ceases to become freedom. It starts to become tyranny, because now everybody is subjected to this, I don't know, kind of anti-factual thing. I don't know. It's kind of, I'm not saying it very well at all. I should have just let you say it. Let's focus on the fact that Queen of Flatulence gave us $2.
Chandler says, yeah, we would have to have an entire discussion on what rights are, because I disagree entirely. Hey, I would say stick around. We're gonna have a call-in show, so you can.
That's
call
exactly
in and
right.
About it.
Okay. Also wild. Just to go back to my little Word document here. So this is a really nutty article, this questions from readers thing. Here's the highlight that I pulled. Questions from readers, November 15th, 1952. also on Watchtower Online Library, Satan's influence through the disfellowshipped member of the family will be to cause the other member or members of the family who are in the truth to join the disfellowship member in his cause or in his position toward God's organization. To do this would be disastrous, and so the faithful family member must recognize and conform to the disfellowship order. Weird phrasing, like they wouldn't say it quite like that anymore, but yeah, they would say like follow Jehovah's arrangement for discipline. But this whole thing is absolutely bananas. I might have read this on a stream before, but I want to read this again because it's really insane. And this is pretty violent language. So the history of this, by the way, is that as late as 1946 or 47, the organization was actually very publicly anti-excommunication and had in fact written articles criticizing the Catholic Church for excommunicating people, doing the exact same thing that Jehovah's Witnesses are now in trouble for now. But as the witness organization started to have more people that we would now call like ex-JWs and whistleblowers, it became for self-preservation, like all cults do. You have to demonize people criticizing you. So that's what they did. Now, this is a question from Reader, specifically about blood relations within the family with disfellowshipping. In the case where a father or mother or son or daughter is disfellowshipped, how should such a person be treated by members of the family in their family relationship? This is back when they actually had readers write in. They don't even bother to make it seem like somebody asked that question anymore.
This is back when they pretended that they had readers already. Like,
right.
I don't think
so. This is a pretty simple question, right? This is a simple question. How do you treat them? Well, this is how they start it. We are not living today among theocratic nations where such members of our fleshly family relationship could be exterminated for apostasy from God and his theocratic organization, Christ, as was possible and ordered in the nation of Israel in the wilderness of Sinai and in the land of Palestine. Thou shalt surely kill him. Thy hand shall be first upon him to put him to death. Yada, yada, yada. Right? So they read
so they start by
scripture.
Saying, well, we can't stone them yet. We can't stone them anymore. But here's what you can do.
Yes, being limited by the laws of the worldly nation in which we live, and also by the laws of God through Christ, we can take action against apostates only to a certain extent. That is consistent with both sets of laws. The law of the land and God's law through Christ forbid us to kill apostates, even though they may be members of our own flesh and blood family relationship. So they're acting. Their framing is that, well, the Bible says that we should kill them, obviously, but, we can't. We can't kill them.
Even if they're in our own family, we can't for some reason.
I know.
Jesus.
Oh my God. That's how it starts. However, God's law requires us to recognize their being disfellowship from his congregation. And despite the fact that the law of the land in which we live requires us under some natural obligation to live with and have dealings with such apostates under the same roof.
Jesus,
it's pretty bad. And what it's saying here is pretty wild. It's all about, it's about secular laws of the land. Like, they truly don't appeal to the Bible at all, because the biblical thing they cite is that you should kill apostates and stone them.
That is insane. I had never read this. That is crazy.
Yeah.
This is the first time that I've seen this.
To the Norwegian Supreme Court in front of Watchtower's representatives. So here's what they'll say. Like, the faithful believer and the apostate or disfellowship mate must legally continue to live together and render proper marriage dues to one another. So you can't legally get divorced. A father may not legally dismiss his minor child from his household because of apostasy or disfellowshipping, and a minor child or children may not abandon their father or mother just because he becomes unfaithful to God and his theocratic organization. Well, I don't think they really have a right to say that, do they?
Jesus.
Like, hey, I know you think you're not a Jehovah's Witness, but actually you're not allowed to not be, because you're not allowed to abandon your father and your mother. The parent must, by laws of God... Oh, God, my phone's ringing now. Our Nora friend is trying to hound me down for this job. The parent must, by laws of God and of man, man fulfill his parental obligations to the children or child as long as they are dependent minors. That's interesting. Dependent minors. So what if they're a minor but independent? And the child or children must render filial submission to the parent as long as legally underage or as long as being without parental consent and apart from the home. What? Of course, if the children are of age, then there can be a departing and breaking of family ties in a physical way because the spiritual ties have already snapped.
What? I thought
So that's
family
pretty
ties
cut and
continue.
dried.
Is that not what Jehovah's Witnesses say over and over and over and over again, that family ties remain? Like, Jesus. Also, thanks so
Yes.
much to QC Man 2000 for gifting a membership.
Yeah.
Forgot to
Thanks
shout
for
it out.
gifting memberships. If you become a member, I generally release stuff early there, and there's exclusive stuff too. So think about that. Also, it's just, it's helpful. Imagine your life without this kind of well thought out stream. No, I don't know. I'm not a good salesperson. If children are of age and continue to associate with a disfellowshipped parent because of receiving material support from him or her, then they must consider how far their spiritual interests are being endangered by continuing under this unequal arrangement, and whether they can arrange to support themselves living apart from the fallen away parent. Their continuing to receive material support should not make them compromise so as to ignore the disfellowshipped state of the parent. If, because of acting according to the disfellowship order of the company of God's people, different wording back then, they become threatened with a withdrawal of the parental support, then they must be willing to take such consequence. Like, they're telling children, if your parents disfellowship, you really need to think about not relying on material support from your parent.
Yeah.
Like, you could be a minor living at home, and you are now supposed to be a minor thinking about getting out of your home.
Yeah, it literally says dependent minor, which means that if you are an independent minor, like if you're a teenager who maybe already has a job or what, like if you're a teenager and you can get away with kicking with kicking them out of the house because the teenager, is at a posit or whatever, then they will do it. Like and again, this isn't just in the 50s. We have had people like last year. We've known about people who have gotten trying to kicked out in the from their family home, even though they're teenagers, even though they're minors, just because they were disfellowshipped or whatever. I think that in the XJW subreddit, like that literally happens all of the time, and everyone is like,
yes,
it's illegal, don't let them do it. Call CPS.
Yeah,
we all even know what to do in these situations because it happens so often. So
it happens. Yeah, exactly.
It's just terrible.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like, it happened to a member of my family, who's still disfellowshipped, and it happens every day. You and I probably both get emails from young people who have been kicked out of their homes, and like, it is still very much a culture of the religion. Somebody in chat said that today's Watchtower is even worse, so we can check that out. I think I probably have covered it on a previous stream, but by the way, I'm going to press X for doubt on the fact that it could possibly be worse. This one is pretty directly saying that we know you really want to kill your disfellowship family member because the Bible says you should, but the government killing up to God. I read that part anyway. This is a quote that people probably have heard. I think it's probably on JW Facts somewhere. The purpose of observing the disfellowship order is to make the disfellowshipped one realize the error of his way and to shame him, if possible, so that he may be recovered, and also to safeguard your own salvational life in the new world in vindication of God. Because of being in close, indissoluble, oh boy, I don't know if I said that right, natural family ties, and being of the same household under the one roof, you may have to eat material food and live physically with that one at home. In which case, 1 Corinthians 5, 9 through 11, and 2 John 10 could not apply. But do not defeat the purpose of the congregation's disfellowship order by eating spiritual food or religious food with such one, or by receiving such one favorably in a religious way and bidding him farewell with a wish for his prosperity in his apostate course. Weird. That one's like, don't even say goodbye to a disfellowship person. Forget saying a greeting. The goodbye is really the Probably.
Yeah. In Norway, the Jehovah's Witnesses would say, "Oh, we changed things. We don't even call it disfellowshipping anymore." And Mark Sanderson came out in the governing body update of last year, being like,
Whoa.
we sure,
My bad.
being like, we pretty promised that we are not going to do it anymore unless we really want to, right? But like that's the point. Jehovah's this is just a dog whistle. As long as Jehovah's Witnesses do not outright say, we will not disfellowship minors, that is not a thing that can happen, right? As long as that doesn't happen, then Jehovah's Witnesses will be like, oh, we'll try our best to make sure that the minor may not be disfellowshipped like immediately, right? But we reserve the right to do it if we want it. Like, that's not good enough. That is not good enough, and that is why
not good enough.
We're so frustrated with Norway, because that's just what they say in Norway. Is like, oh yeah, well, I mean, yeah, okay, well, your appeal is granted. Go ahead. Like, it's so nonsensical. I feel like it's very outright obvious that they still want to do this. It's just they're too much of a they're cowards, and they don't want to say it outright because they want to keep their millions of dollars from the Norwegian government.
Yeah. Okay. I want to shout out a couple comments here before I move on to the next little bit here. Lava Blue says, my best friend cut off her disfellowship father when she got baptized. She was praised so much, still a teenager. I remember people like that in my congregation who were like kids my age who had to shun their flesh and blood family. Joe Joe Trevino? I've always said Joe, but now I'm like, hang on a second, there's a tilde hanging out there. I should probably think about going Joe. You tell me, Joe. Then they'll come out with an article about once a decade about how the Mosaic Law was nailed along with Jesus, so it's not valid anymore. But yeah, exactly. Like, it's where their rules on like piercings and tattoos come from is the Mosaic Law, and it was their beard thing, weirdly. Yes. But anyway. Jenny Bloom says, imagine living in a country where honor killing apostates is legal. And yeah, if anybody finds themselves tacitly supporting Christian nationalism, that is what you are supporting, because that's what they want. They want to be able to kill what they deem to be apostates, which would be, probably everybody here. Definitely both your hosts. So if you want to see us put up against a wall and murdered, hey, not me. And this is true. I can confirm that this is not me. Thanks for the super chat. Jake, love the new video so much. Humor, sass facts, and FIFA 02. Such a good video. Love you both. Thank you so much. It's normal English, Joe. My bad. I totally overthought that. We were just reading an old 1952 questions from readers in which it's pretty heavily suggested that they wish they could kill apostates, but regrettably cannot. Now we're going to look at this week's meeting, because there's been some suggestion that it's quite bad, this week's Watchtower.
Oh, let's do it.
But I'm immediately enticed, I have to say, by this article right here, Stay Far Away from Sexual Immorality.
Ooh.
I don't know.
That may be hard, though, because, like, as a Jehovah's Witness, that you don't know how to talk with women, to women, you don't know what, like, you're sexually repressed and all of that stuff. And obviously, worldly women find that, like, super appealing. Like, it's so hot, that a man doesn't know anything about sex and is sexually repressed. Like, it's so hot. So many women are trying to like corrupt us out there in the world.
People are trying to corrupt us out there, and women are very enticed constantly by, like you said, Jehovah's Witness boys who are virgins and have no game. Hey, I figured out how to zoom in the screen.
Perfect.
Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with gas, and we can get a good look at Zendaya saying no to drugs. No, actually, now that I've zoomed in, she doesn't look like Zendaya to me. That was my poor eyesight.
The guy is like, "Hey, do you wanna go to Starbucks after? Like, not to Starbucks because it's too expensive. Do you want to go to the park after?" And she's like, "No, no."
One thing I think I've mentioned. You want to go to the park after? No way, Jose. I don't think so, Bucko. No. I see these wrist bracelets you have that probably represent something sexual, some favors you've done.
Yeah,
we all know what that means.
When they have those bracelets, you know that they masturbate, and that's a sin. So
that's right. This bracelet's for jerking it, and this bracelet's for butt stuff.
Exactly, because
that's how we did it when I was in school.
So the jerking motion doesn't really make a noise. That's why that's how you know.
That's such a good point. The fabric braces are really fabric braces in a way
Exactly.
because they hide your fapping sounds. If you're thinking about any aquariums and aquarium ladies out there, real ones
Exactly.
understand that
You can go
reference.
up to the aquarium and nobody will know.
Let's see how sexist this is. Sexual immorality can be enticing. Can be. This is from 2000. So if anybody's like, oh, well, that's old and out of date, they are referencing a 25-year-old article as the key text for this week's meeting. So, no. In this proverb, the wayward person is portrayed as a strange woman, a prostitute. The words with which she seduces her victim are as sweet as comb honey and smoother than olive oil. Do not most immoral sexual advances begin this way? For example, consider the experience of an attractive 27-year-old secretary named Amy. In this author's opinion, attractive? Like, what are we saying? Who wrote this? Says who? Let's get pics or it didn't happen. But
I think the writer just wanted to really get with Amy, He was like,
this guy, this must be like Amy's husband on the writing department writing this. She relates, this man at work gives me a lot of attention and praises me at every opportunity. It feels nice to be noticed, but I can clearly see that his interest in me is strictly sexual. I am not going to be taken in by his advances. The flattering words of a seducer or a seductress are usually attractive unless we recognize their true nature. For this, we need to exercise our thinking ability. My teachers were sometimes surprised that I knew words like seductress in elementary school, and this is why. It's because I would have been in elementary school when this came out, and that's what I was reading.
And look, this is very ugly for reasons that I don't see a lot of people talking about. Because if you're at work, right, and some people are just like giving you attention, then that's one thing, and that's fine, and you shouldn't be worried about it. But this cult is like, no, you should definitely be worried about it. That is definitely worrying. You need to keep your vigilance up. When getting noticed at work and like getting compliments or whatever, like it's harmless, right? But if there's like an actual sexual advance that is not wanted, then that's harassment. Then you should take that seriously, right? But here, the Jehovah's Witnesses are like, no, everything from its slight attention to sexual harassment is just sexual attention, and that's just the world, and that's just what you have to expect. So it's just horrible. The fornication.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you said that, because something that we talk a lot about is ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and really like all cults have some kind of weird sexual shame or dynamic to it that fucks you up in some way. I think that might have been my first curse word of the stream. So that's might be a new record, 42 minutes.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid them.
Huge if true. But I actually may have just cursed unknowingly earlier. But what you were saying is really true, that you could also just be totally innocently complimenting somebody or just being nice. And what I've found for myself as a Jehovah's Witness, and it's, there's a totally different dynamic for women that I don't even know about directly, of course, is it made it really hard to know what anybody's level of interest in you was, because everything was kind of analyzed as though it could be flirting, because too much association with the opposite sex is considered flirting. So just being nice can kind of be perceived as a sexual advance when maybe it isn't. And then again, it makes you, like you were saying, less likely to report actual abuse that's happening. Yeah. You're more susceptible to that kind of thing. And so that's why people who come out of the group have real problems forming relationships, even friendships, because all of these things are tangled up in your head. You just haven't had a really healthy relationship with any of it.
Yeah, consent isn't really something that you get taught in the group. It's just what's the good thing that you can do and what's a bad thing that you can do. And as we've seen in the pillow videos, even a compliment on someone's hair, as long as it's from the opposite sex, that can be labeled as, like attention, like unwanted attention. So, when a compliment about your hair and a sexual advance is being equated as the same thing, then it's just very permissive. And if you add that to the fact that consent is not a concept in this cult, and
Truly
it's
not.
it's just a recipe for disaster, and which is why this is one of the many reasons why this is a very dangerous cult.
By the way, my
this is why
favorite
it's a
kind
dangerous cult, but no, it's not the one.
Yeah,
reason.
no. Great comment from Sarah Lee. I definitely agree with what is being said on all counts. That's good. That's what we want.
Just highlight those comments that are like, I agree, and also you look very good today. Like those are the only exactly. Consent is your wedding ring. Jesus.
Great comment from Farnsworth.
The girls seduce JW boys with aquarium. Oh, sorry, you can read it.
No. If worldly girls seduce JW boys with aquariums, do worldly boys seduce JW girls with a terrarium? Like, hey, baby, you want to come over and touch my lizard, play with my snake? Excellent. That's, in my opinion, that's the comment to beat so far. That's really great.
Exactly, because aquariums obviously have clams, so you should have made that connection more clearer. But I like where you were going.
No, it absolutely okay. Now I'm curious about sexual immorality results in bitterness. I'm interested in this. People in chat have been saying, I think it might have been Chandler who said, like, religions hate sex because it feels good, and there is a selfish aspect to it, and it's like it goes against their narrative. I've been working on an Elon Musk impression. I might try and read it like Elon. How do you feel about that? All right.
Let me see
South
if I can
African
try to
accent.
Right. Well, he doesn't quite have a normal South African accent, actually. So the after effects of immorality are as bitter as wormwood and sharp as a two-edged sword, painful and death-dealing, troubled consciousness, and it's legal again. Comedy's legal again. An unwanted pregnancy or a sexually transmitted disease are often the bitter consequences of such conduct, and we see that on the radical left. Sorry, I don't know if that was good, but
I think
I didn't actually
more rambling and more
right.
Like,
I think
you need to snort a little bit more Tate,
right? Because I think what the actual problem is that I'm reading something and I'm not able to actually ramble in the way that Elon Musk does with comedy in the work left Marxist liberals. And what we're doing right now actually with Cybertruck is actually going to be it's going to be really mind blowing. It's actually really impressive actually. What we're going to be doing.
We just need to have the stocks going up like an unexpected.
Right, stonks. By the way, stonks are going up. By the way, meme friends would know what that means. And every Cybertruck is actually going to have sunglasses and a chainsaw from now on.
The bad sunglasses as well.
Please never do that again because it was so good. All right. Well, I need to sound more inhuman. Damn it. All right. Well, we're working on it. I appreciate the feedback. I'll take that back in the lab. But yes, this is definitely them trying to just imply that the only thing that can ever come from sex is horrible bitterness. And it is sort of a self-reinforcing theory. Like, if you have been raised to think that sex is shameful, you will, of course, feel shame when you do it. This is kind of the thesis of this, like, no-fap video I've been working on for a while, like the cult of no-fap or whatever I'm going to end up calling it. Is I think that whole thing is just really a self-reinforcing prophecy about if you think that masturbation is shameful, then you're going to enter a shame cycle and do it and hate yourself and think that you're addicted to it, when it might just be your perception of it being bad, not necessarily the thing itself. Elon for governing bodies. I could also do RFK Jr. Make decisions that please Jehovah. Did we look at this article? Let's see the pictures. Whoa.
Oh no, people dancing.
I want to look at the pictures first, and maybe only. Okay, so get the facts by asking questions. See paragraph 4, which the picture description says young brothers and sisters talk about a party invitation they received on their phones. Okay, so let's look at this. I want to get a guess. Oh wow,
that looks like it's the best party from 2002 based on the invitation.
They're gonna have iPod shuffles and
exactly.
iPod colors at this thing. They're gonna play Viva La Vida.
They wanted to do like the iPod, the Jehovah's Witness like iPod or whatever, but they also made it black, everything, so you can't even see it. But they're wearing.
We're witnesses. We're Witnesses Eve into Just Dance, the Just Dance game series, where you were like for the Wii and stuff, where it's
I really was into it,
where it's like this.
But because it was in my home and nobody can see it, and also I didn't have to go to the dance club.
Yeah, you didn't get to go to the dance club, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
They were analyzing this photo hard at the meeting today.
Revolution.
Oh my god.
Oh really? What did they say? If they were analyzing it, what did they say?
Yeah, tell me good comments from the meeting for sure.
He said what they said about in the meeting in a comment.
Oh, okay. We got a comment.
That guy isn't wearing a tie, so he's less dedicated. The photo looks like a rave. There's probably gonna be alcohol.
It wasn't a photo, by the way. This is like a cartoon on their phone. This is clearly not a photo of people in a place. It's just an invitation.
It looks like a rave. Like imagine thinking that looks like a rave. Like,
and this guy is not wearing a tie, so he's less spiritual. Now that comment is interesting to me because now, like, the rule is you don't have to wear the tie at the meeting. But now I'm thinking that's probably an interesting little way to be a kiss ass and a brown noser is by like, well, I know I don't have to wear a tie, but I do for Jehovah. Like that's gonna be the thing now. Wow. So this guy, here's what your life is when you are a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know. How old is this kid? Anywhere from 16 to 25. I don't actually know. But if you get an invitation to a party with a salacious silhouette drawing of the Viva La Vida video from 2009, you then have to go home to your IKEA house and do research on an online database of religious publications with an open Bible. And
but keep the invitation open as well. Like so you remember what you're researching. Don't let the smartphone go to sleep.
This is guy in the chair energy for my Spider-Man fans. Like this is on one hand he's got this screen, then he's got this screen, then he's got a book. Like he really has the 3 screens counterterrorism unit set up. He's just looking up whether or not he should go to a party. This is how seriously you have to take this shit. You have to meet Sherlock Holmes. You have to go. You have to crack the case.
Is it done with a little magnifying glass? Why did they draw this? That's hilarious.
If you look carefully at the boot print, Watson. Wait, what voice for Sherlock was that? Hey, Watson, what's going on, man? So examine closely the invitation for any signs of devilry and witchcraft or immorality. Pray intensely, not with 1 but 2 devices with God's word powered up, ideally, and then you go to the scales of justice and try and make a decision. I would argue this is overthinking.
He made 3 different illustrations about this guy trying to decide whether or not to go to a party because he saw people with their arms up in the invitation, like, and he's like, "Oh, that means it's a rave. There's gonna be alcohol in there."
That's right, absolutely. The magnifying great comment from Dr. Shem. No wonder being a JW is so exhausting. Like, this is what I know. I'm a broken record on this, but this is why you should leave. And if being PMO is hard, but on the other side of the tunnel, is you're able to make decisions in your life that don't have this level of stress. Like, you don't understand how every little synapse firing in your brain is going through the magnifying glass Bible scale calculus, as we call it.
It's not about making the decision that you want to make. It's about making the right decision. And there is a wrong decision. So you better make sure that you make the right decision. Also, I really dislike Joe Trevino's last comment. This IKEA bedroom is too wide and he's not. What can we do to spice it up? Hang a guitar in the wall. Excellent. What? Just because I'm too white and I also have a guitar hung on the wall because I'm too white and I want to spice things up? That's racism, if anything. Look at
this. Let's get a wow.
Look at this. What? Just because my room is too white and I'm not, so I have to put up a guitar to spice things up. Come on, man.
Danny, do you really think that it's a coincidence that Jehovah would put this in his publication basically a
That is
picture
true.
of you with your guitar.
That is
And-
true. I don't even play the guitar. I literally just put it to spice things up.
I mean, you've never seen me play the piano. It's in the background of my
Exactly.
setup. As far as anyone knows, that's just a prop. And as far as I know, it's been a while since I've plucked at it. What are there any particularly cringe aspects of this? Get the facts is where I want to start. I guess the point is you got to make good decisions.
Put up the
This
article.
is good.
People can't
And
see the
really,
article.
I want people to. Oh, sorry, my bad. I want people to think about the fact that, this is what school curriculums are going to be like under American theocracy. Like, it's not going to be that different from the Watchtower. If you've ever seen like the little PragerU printouts, so just imagine that they're talking about whatever they like, whatever kind of Christianity they like. Get the facts.
The facts that we think are the facts.
Facts. So you're gonna need a magnifying glass and the research database, Watchtower Online Library. The first step towards making a good the first step toward making a good decision is to get the facts. Why is this important? Great question. Why are facts important? Imagine what a patient consults a doctor regarding a serious medical problem. Would the doctor make a decision about a course of treatment without first examining the patient or asking him questions? Certainly not. You, too, will make better decisions if you first consider the facts that have a bearing on the situation at hand. Why? Our life was wasted by reading something that stupid.
Hey, you need to
This
know
is
the facts.
fucking
because
time-
facts are important.
Time-filling, page-wasting bullshit. This is, you have an assignment due, and there has to be a certain word count, and you're like, okay, obviously, just to make a good decision, don't do stupid things, but we can't just say that, so, get the facts. Why do you need facts? Well, just imagine a doctor who didn't consult facts. It's like, how about we just agree right up top, facts are good. Like, even people who don't actually base their lives on facts think that they do. Everybody thinks that the facts are on their side, even when they're not. You can often get the facts by asking questions. Great statement. Suppose you are invited to a social gathering. Should you attend? If you are not acquainted with the host or the arrangements, you will need to ask such questions as, where and when will the gathering be held? How large will it be? Who will supervise it? Who will attend? What activities are planned? Will alcoholic drinks be served? The answers to these questions will help you make a wise decision. I've never asked all these questions about going to a party. This is more engaging than the Zoom meeting. I think we should.
What?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, this is the worst because I was checking like what everything was gonna happen, like who's doing it, are alcoholic drinks gonna be served and all that shit, and I was like, I played poker last night with my friends, and we did all of that stuff, and it wasn't even a proper party. We had like loud music,
right,
and we were drinking, and we were like smoking. We were doing more of this, and I feel like it's just so fucking like harmless. And they're like, no, but just you need to make sure who's doing it. How many alcoholics drinks are there gonna be? Are there just gonna be beers because that's an alcoholic?
Yeah,
it's so stupid. It's really so stupid. And yeah, it's why it's so stressful to be a Jehovah's Witness, as we were saying before.
Yes. Yeah, no, I you said that, and I'm also realizing, like, leaving the witnesses, you realize that, like, worldly parties are not actually any different from witness parties. Most people just, like, will kind of hang out and chit-chat and sip some kind of alcohol and listen to music and maybe play some, like, games or whatever. Like, sometimes you'll go to, like, a rager, but that's, like, just generally speaking in life, that's more rare than just hanging out with a worldly friend. Like, our get-togethers now it's the same. Like, I would still just like to drink beer and play cards with the boys. Like, that's what I did as a witness. It's not actually any different.
Well, the only difference is, like, now you're not super worried about what kind of music you play. Like, that's it. When you're doing it.
I want to read this next illustration because I love these. Once you have prayed for Jehovah's direction, pay careful attention to his answer. To illustrate, if you got lost while traveling, you might ask a local resident for help. But would you then walk away before he had a chance to reply? Of course not. I do like thinking about this. Hey, where should I go? Well, you need to, unless like you walk away, just don't let
Yeah,
that
exactly.
that would mean that
Walk
you're a
away.
psycho. This is a stupid illustration. It doesn't conjure anything or anybody to mind because it's stupid. You would listen carefully to his directions. Similarly, just like that real thing, just as after you ask Jehovah for wisdom, try to discern his answer by finding out which Bible laws in principle apply to your situation. No. Prayer is invisible. If prayer mattered, then you would pray and then Jehovah would tell you the answer. But the answer to your prayers is just read the Bible like you were already supposed to do anyway. And like you knew, like the next step is just, well, just in case prayer doesn't work, maybe just read the Bible. Stupid.
Well, not the Bible. Read what we say the Bible says.
Right, yeah,
don't actually
exactly.
Read the Bible as a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, if you get a party invitation, you're not sure if you should go. Just general good advice I have as a normal person: check out the research guide for Jehovah's Witnesses and Scriptures for Christian Living. There's a wealth of information in the study tools about whether or not you should
look
go
it up
to
on
a party.
jw.org if you don't know whether or not you should go to that wedding. That you got
Oh,
invited
Jehovah, there's going to be alcohol at this party. Like, I'm not trying to make light of that, because if someone's an alcoholic, that is a normal question that you would ask about a social gathering.
Sure.
But if you're not, it is weird. And that's not the only thing you're asking. You're like, who's going to chaperone? What kind of music is going to be played? Are they going to play curse words in the music at this party? That was a controversy. I was at a couple weddings where the DJ started playing non-censored music, like not the radio edits, and so you were like hearing "Till the Sweat Drips from My Balls" like on the dance floor, and some elder was like, "Whoa, hold it," and like you hear the record scratch, and all the dancing Jehovah's Witnesses are like, "Ah." Like that happened at multiple weddings I have been to.
Oh my god! Yeah, I'm telling you, like you have to be worried about the music that you're playing. It is really stressful.
Definitely. I played a song with curse words in it and got a little talking to from an elder.
Yeah, imagine you can't play I like big butts and I cannot lie. Like you'll get kicked out.
Yeah.
Like,
you know why?
You're worldly.
I think it's because, well, no, it's actually an anti-lying song. They should love that song. It's about how you can't lie.
Exactly. It's about being unapologetic about the kind of women that you like. It's beautiful.
It's about the truth. It's a song about the truth, which is that he loves big butts.
It's about the truth, so the truth should allow it. We should allow it within the truth.
You see that girl in itty bitty ways. Now, here's another scenario. I like scenarios. And we're going to consider this. You are looking for a job to support your family. 2 jobs are available. You review all the facts, taking note of the type of work, the schedule, the travel time, and so on. In both cases, the work itself is scripturally acceptable. Perhaps you favor one option because you prefer the type of work or because the salary is higher. Yeah, maybe that one. There are other factors, though, to consider. Yeah, and they're going to do does it conflict with congregation meetings bullshit. This is definitely not worse than the one that we read earlier, by the way, but it's very culty for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. But it's what I'm saying. Like it's culty in the corporate ages sanded off way that Jehovah's Witnesses are nowadays, and it's just boring. It's just boring and a coward act. Like it's just they still believe in that stuff. Just say no. You're not supposed to go to race. That's what Satan is. Like they used to say that before.
I've seen teenage JW parties worse than non-JW parties. 3-day JW kids being blackout drunk on the floor. Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, I learned to over-drink as a Jehovah's Witness. That wasn't like a new skill I had to learn when I left. That was culturally pretty normal. But I was not a go-to-party person. Were you?
Oh, hi. Well, I guess I am a go-to-party person now that I was left alone in this party. So, guys, now that Jake accidentally got kicked out, just unsubscribe from Jake. Go subscribe to my channel instead.
It happened, guys. It happened. I'm really sorry. every once in a while. But you know what? Can I tell you something? I'm not embarrassed.
There's no reason to be embarrassed about.
I'm not embarrassed about any of that.
I love that.
Okay, I'm going to be right back. Some people are requesting a peach break, and I think that that's a totally acceptable thing. So I'm going to go check with Peach's...
Mommy, when I...
That which is Christina. That is Peach's mommy. And we'll be right back.
Mommy, when I get out, call...
It's interesting. So, planet Earth. Perfect.
Aw, baby. Hi, baby. I feel pretty bad. This sweetie was napping pretty hardcore. Mommy and Echo and Bo and Peaches were napping together. It was pretty goddamn cute, I have to say. Sorry, dog damn cute. But we love Peaches very much. She is the sweetest dog in the world, really. And she brings so much joy.
Mommy, when I get out, call me Peaches.
I know. I touched my Bluetooth, and it just, like, paused the video. It paused the Jacob Rump supercut. That's him, the pilot one. Yay!
There you go. Both
Pee-wee and Pee-pee.
Peaches and Pee-wee.
Peaches and Pee-wee. Look at this smug face. Isn't she a smug bastard? We love her so much. Oh, edging us with the herd mommy drop. What a wonderful... And you know what? Almost, maybe the best part of getting to see our pets is we get to see the pet drop.
Our spiritual paradise is a place that has many harmless animals.
Now, what do we mean by this?
I don't know, but what we're going to do is I'm going to play just a quick... Oh,
Yeah, we
wow.
got
here's
Lucy
our
as
buddy.
well. Lucifer.
This is Lucy. Oh, I want a black cat so bad.
He's the
Love
cutest.
black cats.
Hey, boo boo.
So cute. I'm going to play just a short something while I put Peach back to her nappy spot. God damn it. I don't have any, like, really good... This is a pillow clip. Let's watch...
Does there have to be an orgasm for it to be considered masturbation? Suppose a brother starts rubbing his genitals against a pillow. He gets an erection, but stops before having an orgasm. Is he masturbating? Yes. Again,
There we go. That's just a little reminder for everybody.
I love that technique.
I just was like, these are uploaded to my media assets already, so that's what I'll play. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I think we might just do a little call-in, maybe. And what's the prompt, you might be wondering, and also what the hell's happening? Maybe you really don't know what's going on at all. Well, you can call in and talk about whatever the hell you want. This is like the comments section of the Watchtower, but with no rules. Generally speaking, what we've done is have people call in and talk about their experience. Maybe even the witnesses talk about how they're coping, how they're healing. Sometimes people have a question or a prompt, but usually I give everybody kind of 5 minutes-ish on the clock, and then I got to kick your ass out of the studio. I'm going to quickly pin this comment. Right? That is what I'm going to do, I think.
Are you?
I think so. I think I am going to do that. Let's pin... Oh, I'm not logged into the right account. Guys, there's going to be a little bit of business here. A little bit of setup. what we're going to do is we're going to click pin message. That's going to be really critical. And then we're going to do that again on the small channel.
While you do it, I want to put down on the chat, because I have a Discord server, and I want all of you guys to join. So if you want to join,
all right, yeah,
you can join in. I'll put the link in the chat. So
well, okay, so we got a Discord link if you want to join the XJW Caleb community, and I would say there's probably about 100% overlap between our communities, so good chance you'll have something in common.
Yeah, you can join that. I'm not. Listen, the community is not going to be up there for a long time. I'm going to nuke it in like a couple of months or whatever. It's just for us to chat a little bit, and then back to normal. But yeah, you can join if you're watching this, and you're that kind of person that I want to. You know, it's fine. You're the kind of person who endures for chicaneries.
Absolutely. You know, I was realizing we might need to prompt people, and so maybe we could try and think of some good prompts if we need any.
Ooh, I have a good one. We were talking about this earlier. How do you legally legalize around Jehovah's Witnesses to ensure that everyone gets freedom of religion, including inside of Jehovah's Witnesses?
Whoa.
Like, what do you legally do against Jehovah's Witnesses? How do you get rid of them in a natural way?
Yeah, what's the best? Maybe even more broadly, what's the best way to like work against Watchtower and kind of make them a less harmful group on society, one way or the other? Man, I was thinking something like, how do you spend your Sundays now that you're not at the, or if you're, but that's intense. Like,
what's
and I
the
think
point of life?
and that's really the we run the gamut on this show. Now, I'm going to Queen of Flatulence is here, but it says device is not connected. We don't want cameras on, not for any mean reason. I just like, the radio call-in vibe. But Queen of Flatulence has got their business sorted out, and so what's up?
Hi.
Queen of Flatulence.
Hey. Yeah,
Should we explain to people that flatulence means fart, just in case anyone's wondering?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
I wanted to know. Can I talk a little bit about? I think the other prompt you said, like, how do you spend your Sundays?
Yeah.
No.
Sure.
Like, I last December. I wanted to talk about how last December I got back in contact with my biological father and my apostate aunt. My biological father left the religion years ago, and like my aunt was one of those people who was like holding signs outside conventions.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So how do you feel about that, by the way, the holding signs outside conventions?
I think it's ineffective. Like, it just kind of, I think, I can't remember if it was one of you, but someone said that it strengthened their, what's the word, persecution? What's that?
The persecution complex?
Yes.
Or narrative,
complex.
Yeah.
It could. You know, it was interesting. I was
it's like kind of ineffective, right?
I kind of am of two minds about that aspect of it. You know, I think we're probably on the same page about like going in the building and crashing, that not being good. The outside protest, I kind of think I've kind of come around on this. I was watching Natalie from the Life After a Cult channel. She was in Scientology. She had another ex-Scientologist on, and they were talking about how they actually have found that effective in their world. I think in part because maybe having peaceful protests kind of goes against the narrative that Scientology has, that people are really hateful. So I guess maybe I'm of two minds about it. I guess it could also signal to PMO people like, hey, there are people on your side here.
There's other people out there. Yeah, I think that's the best part, that you signal that there are other people out there, and there's other ways of thinking out there. But I just don't know anybody who was like, I was a believing Jehovah's Witness, and then I saw them, and then I was like, I'm going to look it up. Like, it's just I've never heard of that happening, so I just think it's like kind of ineffective when it comes to waking up people.
Yeah, and
but it's good. I mean,
so
I'm not against it.
Yeah, and every Sunday, my dad will call me in the like mornings or afternoons after he gets out of his church, because he goes to a Methodist church now.
Oh,
And
that's
it does
interesting.
cause a little bit of problems in his life because his wife is a practicing Jehovah's Witness, and she hates me because I decided to leave.
That's a
Well,
little
you
tough.
can just show them the kingdom halls that were sold to Methodist churches. I think I have one for the video tomorrow. So you could just be like, look, if kingdom halls can do it, I mean, come on, what's the problem?
Yeah,
They're both
and,
dedicated.
like,
We build Methodist churches, you know, eventually.
she but like she is like she tells him not to help his sister out with anything. He'll do it anyways. And like when I went, my birthday was on March 2nd. I went up to Ohio to visit him, and
Hey, happy birthday and happy Ohio visit.
yeah, I went up there to visit him. And I live in like Michigan, so it was like a 4-hour
okay.
drive.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
Now,
was
do you care much about the Ohio Michigan rivalry, like the OSU Michigan rivalry?
Not really. I don't really know much about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'm like a passive sports fan. It's like I get into it, but I don't take it seriously like my dad does. He's like
I
a
don't
really
follow
hardcore.
any sports.
Yeah, like my dad would like if he heard that you were from Michigan, he'd probably go like, or like spit or something, make some remark about sewage going to
Yeah.
Ann Arbor. He liked that one.
But
Well, that's great.
like,
So-
the funny thing,
Oh,
Sorry.
Go ahead,
you
Dan.
have a funny thing.
I hope I'm sorry.
Tell me.
I hope I'm not out of time, but I actually ended up getting 2 coffee makers because of the situation. Because my parents were divorced when I was born. I don't know what exactly it was that happened all those years ago, but they both say different things about what happened. So, like,
Do you
one
mean
of
what
them
happened with
cheated
their
and left.
marriage?
Yeah. Like one of them, I was told most of my life that my bio dad cheated, and then my mom left him. But my bio dad says that he didn't do that. So I don't know who to believe.
That's tough. Do you want our
Yeah.
best guess? I'm just kidding.
I think they both did.
I mean,
Give us the
my
information and
question
we'll
is-
figure it out.
Honestly, I believe my dad more than my mom because right after the divorce, my mom married a person who was just studying with the witnesses, and he is a drug addict and raging alcoholic.
Oh.
Ah,
So
Well, I
Out of
do
the Lord.
believe I believe the alcoholic actually, because drunk people can't lie. So
yeah,
that's kind of true.
yeah, but
Well, I appreciate you calling in. We've got some people
Uh-huh.
on the line. So I always appreciate hearing from you, Queen of Flatulence, and nothing personal, but I'm kicking you from the studio. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. That's right, and there's no warning. It can just happen just like that. It's dispassionate and sometimes cruel.
it's so
but
cool. I had never chatted with Queen of Flatulence. I always see her in my comments, but I had never chatted with her. That's cool.
isn't it great? You get to meet
Yeah.
the chatters, the chit chatters. Also, if anybody wants to be spicy and has some disagreement with us, you can always call and challenge us too. We could be debate bros happily.
Yeah, of
and
course.
We both want to be, I think, in life. Debate bros, like professionally. I was just trying to see if Danny was paying attention at all, but I don't think so.
Yes, I am paying attention, but I thought that you were gonna like bring somebody in, and we're like, look, we're gonna.
No, I was just wasting time. But let's talk to Dr. Shemp.
Oh no!
Hey,
What's up,
Hey.
buddy?
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. You sound great.
Awesome. Okay.
Is that
all
your
right.
cat avatar that we're seeing?
Yes, it is yet another pose from the lovely cat that shares my house with me. So one of many. So anyway, yeah,
Whoa.
that's her.
Who is this? Can we get a name, or is that private?
Yeah, that's Miss Polly. That's Miss Polly.
Miss Polly.
Aw, that's a cute name.
Yeah,
is that
she's-
because she is small like a Polly Pocket, or she is
Yes,
polyamorous?
that is- Yeah, no, no. She came to our house. She was one of a litter of 5 kittens, and the other 4 all passed away. And so she was the only one left. My wife brought her to me, put her in my hands,
no.
just this little tiny thing. And I like, instantly fell in love with her because I have just a giant gaping hole in my chest where a heart should be. Anyway.
I know, me too. I get that.
So anyway, I just wanted to say, it is memorial season. I hope you guys are having a good memorial season. So yesterday,
that would have been a smart thing to talk about on stream, but I literally didn't think about that.
So yesterday I was like, getting coffee around, knock on my door, dog starts freaking out. Of course, it was JW's at my door. They don't know me. Like, I'm not on a do not call list or anything like that. I didn't, I wasn't born here. Nobody here knows me. So I basically posed as just a person who used to be religious, who used to be in a high control religion when I was a kid, decided not to be anymore. And then it was an older gentleman and a younger woman. And I basically took the whole opportunity to say, one, how the society portrays evolution is not real. Got very detailed with that. Also talked about how the whole disfellowshipping practice is incorrect and who would Jesus disfellowship, and just basically was able to spend like 20 minutes just completely, giving her a ton of material for her to go, look up on the internet after they left. So it was very entertaining. I loved it. So
I think that's a
great.
good way of trying to wake up people. I think that a lot of people, a lot of us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses try to be like very confrontational with Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's not the way you do it. The way you do it is just ask questions, because if you are just a little bit lucky, you will find the question that the Jehovah's Witnesses will have to answer to themselves that they can't, and that pushes them out. Like, you just ask them questions. That's how you, like, if you want to plant seeds, you just ask them questions, and you hope that your questions are good enough. But you can't just like be all confrontational and be like, I'm an apostate, I hate Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, no, that doesn't work. They're just victims, and we should treat them as such.
Yes,
I always think, like, what kind of householder would have kept your attention as a Jehovah's Witness? And I was always interested in talking to people who would really listen to what I was saying, or at least, would kind of let me get through my presentation, and
who would listen?
Would, like, your vibe as the person at the door, is the difference between they're hurrying off the porch or away from their cart, or they're like happy to talk to you because they're like, oh man, I'm counting time and I'm actually being productive. I think you have to make them feel a little bit.
Most boring thing ever. I can finally.
I also think. Tell me if you agree with this, Dr. Schempp. I think maybe you have to make them feel like they could win the argument a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You absolutely have to do that. And like you said, you have to let them start and get their presentation out. Now, of course, they were inviting me to the memorial, so it was over pretty quick, but I was just trying to be kind. I wasn't being angry. You're listening to them, they're giving you answers. I'm listening. And I was trying to like not let them divert onto other topics. I was let's keep talking about this. How come, we accept science, we accept, the car you're driving and that tablet that's in your hand, but this science over here that says that evolution is real, we're not accepting that. Why is that? Because I was raised in a religion that was just filled with all these lies about evolution. And I got out and I realized none of them were true. All those arguments were garbage. And I figured out what, evolution, and they just listened to the whole thing, so anyway, I really encourage anti-witnessing for those who, can do it. So
Definitely. I try to do that with Jehovah's Witnesses who comment. Like, I get really annoyed when other other ex-Jehovah's Witnesses are like, this is apostate material, you shouldn't be here. Like, no, let them be here. Like, let them talk to me.
I do that.
No, man,
so
I
if
don't
they're
like
mean,
engaging with them, even though they're probably bait for me to engage with. Like, I'm like, no, there may be a chance, that I can get through them, and I find that more intellectually challenging even than just being like, you're an idiot, you don't know anything.
Absolutely, because you never know what's going to make the difference, guys. You just never know. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we both, like Jake and I, that's why we both made the channels, because we're like, you never know. Like, this is probably not going to make a difference, but you never know, and I still need to talk about it. So yeah, I feel like that's an attitude that I encourage Jehovah's Witnesses to have if they want to be against Jehovah's Witnesses and they want to do something active for it.
Yes.
So yeah, that's good.
Ooh, Shield
Cool.
Society says try to be somebody's return visit. That's what RV means for you
Yes.
normies.
I don't know. I feel like they might have felt I was edging over into too confrontational, so I don't think they're going to come back.
Yeah.
But anyway, you
It's
guys are doing
pretty
an awesome job.
tough.
You guys are doing an awesome job. Loving it. I'm going to go ahead and drop off and just listen. Okay, guys.
Well, thanks. I know you're trying to be
You're not gonna
avoiding
get caught
being
up.
kicked, but you're not.
What?
You're not. I have the power to kick
Yes.
people. I have the power to kick people, and not you, Dr. Shim.
You don't
You know-
on your terms.
Doctor, if that is your real credential. I don't really know what that means.
I don't
Okay,
think
I'm
that's
going to
what it
go to the person who I think is next, which is Just June.
Hey,
Hello, Just June.
Hi.
how are you guys?
Great.
hear
We're
me?
How are you?
great.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I won't speak for Danny. I'm doing great.
I'm
I
doing
was
okay. I haven't smoked that much, if I'm honest, so I'm doing okay.
I've given up smoking and it's very sad, but I needed to because I don't know how to do anything in moderation at all.
Yeah. That's
I
an issue with
understand.
Jehovah's Witnesses. I feel like I had to learn how to do things in moderation because you can either do something or you can't. And there's nothing that, that prevents you. Like if you already did something that's wrong one time, then you're like, well, I mean, I might just go all the way in and, because this is like
That's what I would
my
do.
binge,
Yeah.
So yeah,
You know,
I think there's something to talk about that.
Well, I'm a raging alcoholic, and I'm in recovery. I'm doing very well. I'm almost a year and a half sober.
Good for you. Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
But at the same time, I realized that the smoking wasn't quite as off the rails, but it always
You saw it
led
maybe-
to the drinking. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
it's just finding what
probably
works
not
for
a
you.
good idea. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and then I just
Well,
thought
good for
that-
you for having the awareness that that could lead to the other thing.
Yeah, I have a lot of therapy. It helps. A lot of
Ooh,
therapy.
you got a little muffly there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you don't
I
mind
said
me,
a lot of therapy, I said.
a lot of therapy.
Oh,
Well, that's
cool.
what I was going to ask. Did
Yeah.
you, if you don't mind me asking, like, did you go to kind of like group programs or like an anonymous program, or did you just did you do therapy, rehab?
Well, I will tell you now, I have a channel, which I don't do much with anymore. It's called Just
Oh,
June. And
very nice.
I talk all about it. So if anyone does deal with addiction, please go there and check out because I talk all about it. I talk from beginning to end. I started the channel while in addiction, and
Wow.
I wasn't drunk on camera, but probably really hungover. But anyway,
Yeah.
I really dealt with a lot, and that's why I honestly resonate with you a lot, Jake, because I know you've gone through some things. I've watched your channel for a long time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I was going to say, I get you.
yeah, exactly. I figured you would, and it was a lot. And I'm 52, and so it was not like it had been something I had been doing for a long time. And so I tried AA, but AA for me was too much like going to meetings, like going to the Kingdom Hall.
Very
That's
religious,
what
right?
I also
Yeah.
felt.
Yeah.
That's
And
what scared me the most.
I hated it. And I'm not putting down AA. If AA works for you, please go there and get sober. But it honestly, it triggered me. I would leave there like, I need a drink.
Jesus.
I was like, all right, that didn't work. So I got to figure out something else. But I went to rehab. I went to rehab twice. I went to rehab while an active Jehovah's Witness. And
Wow.
That was trippy.
Were you a
yeah.
believing witness?
I was.
Also,
I mean-
if we're on your computer or phone, mute us on that end because there's a little bit of echo.
Oh, okay, you know what? I wonder. Did that help? Did that help?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just when we
Yeah.
talk.
Okay. I'm sorry if it's still not working well.
No,
I
no,
had
it's-
it-
sounds great.
Don't worry.
Okay, I had it up on my television and then I switched over to my phone so I could talk and I figured it would be easier. So, but anyways, I was in the organization for 45 years, born and raised, and then my family left. So I literally came home from rehab the first time at 45 years old. My husband was a ministerial servant. My son was a pioneer. My daughter had already told us she was gay, but we were just trying to pretend like that wasn't there. And we, I mean, we accepted her, but we just didn't know what to do with it because we knew nobody else would accept her.
Yeah.
And on the drive home from rehab, my family was like, "So, yeah, we don't want to be Jehovah's Witnesses anymore." And I'm like,
Whoa.
"What the fuck are you people talking
Jesus.
about?" Needless to say, I wanted to go get a drink on the way home from rehab.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Oh, that
it was-
echoing thing's happening.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what it is. I have a really
That's okay.
tall ceilings. I'm sorry.
It's probably that we're turned up on your YouTube feed
Is that
or something like that.
better? I don't know if that's any better. I'm so sorry.
I don't know.
So, long story short, I got sober for 2 years, and then in 2020, I started drinking again. But that's just because there was a pandemic, and I hadn't gotten myself pulled together yet. And then
We were
I
all
got
drinking
sober.
during the pandemic.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
And then a year and a half ago, I went back to rehab, but I wanted to this time. And like I went because I wanted to go, not because I felt forced to go. And I had also started therapy, finally getting my head on straight from being, born in and raised in. And, it's a whole long story, but you can go on my channel and check out the whole thing. I don't want to take up everyone's time, but I just wanted to
No,
say
this is
I
great.
absolutely love both your channels.
Thank you.
You're both probably almost young enough to be, my sons, but that's okay. I have a 30-year-old son. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
So young.
You know what's weird?
Hmm.
Me too.
Do you?
I
You
know.
have not
Yeah, we-
met
Babies
me
having
before
babies.
now.
Yeah.
No, but I've watched your channel many times, and I have to tell you, Jake, I'm sure you do not remember this, but a while ago, I mean, we're talking at least 2 years ago, I was typing in one of the chats, and I was so drunk, and I was writing the most mean things, and you kicked me out.
Oh, I don't remember that. You're right.
Now we need to find it. Now we need to find that. Like, come on.
Wow.
I just have to tell you because come on, that's hysterical.
That's no, because what if I did and was like, I wonder if Just June's going to bring up a little history. No, like I don't remember that at all.
I'm sure you don't remember, but I deserved it. I was being a fucking asshole.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, I've also been the asshole, so I understand.
No, you kept trying to actually be nice to me and be like, okay, you need to like be nice. And I was like,
That doesn't sound like me. I must have been drunk
Yeah,
too.
that doesn't sound like Jake. I think you're misremembering that part as well.
Yeah. There's
But
a
hey,
problem with this
where
story.
can people find you? Repeat your channel again so people
oh,
can.
it's
so
just
Jake
called
can
Just
find you.
June. My first name is actually Deanna. June is my middle name. And I initially did that because I was very nervous about putting my face and my name out there. I'm not disfellowshipped. I didn't disassociate. But at this point, nobody talks to us other than
Yeah.
my parents. My parents do
The same
actually
situation
speak to
that I'm
me,
in.
But, other than that, nobody talks to us. So what do I care? And I'm
Yeah.
right over in Pittsburgh, Jake.
Oh, nice. I love Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's a fun city.
Well, if I'm ever in town for work or something, because I've had to go there for work before. If I'm ever in town, I'll hit you up.
Yeah, I
will not go out for a drink.
Well, we can go out for some water.
Go out for some water. Me and Christina will treat you to a free water.
There we go. No, I want to also give, if anyone is really seriously struggling with, alcoholism, with addiction of any sort, my email is justjune1973@gmail. And, please hit me up there. I've probably had at least 75 people around the world. I'm talking to a active sister in the UK, in Australia,
Oh, wow.
all
amazing.
over that, because there's just not enough resources for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses trying to get sober, and even people who are still going to meetings and struggling and don't know where to go. Because I know when I was first still going to the Kingdom Hall and trying to stay sober, and I was going to AA, I got talked to about going to AA because I was going into basements of churches and I was, looking to Satan's
Right, it's
world to
Christendom.
help me. And yeah, I was like, are you kidding me? I'm trying to stay sober, people.
Yeah.
So
Hey June, can you drop your email in chat?
Yes.
It may try and filter it out, but hopefully a mod will allow it or something. But
Okay.
thank you so much for calling in.
Absolutely.
And email me as well,
Okay.
because I have had similar thoughts on sobriety and XJWs and things. So that I would love to help out in any way with that. And I'm telling you that because I do have to kick you from the studio. Goodbye. Okay, so I know that seemed harsh after such a nice conversation, but this is, I don't know, we
It's just the
introduced
rules.
a
You
tough
don't make
love
up the
corner
rules.
recently, and
You don't make up the rules that you made up. It's fine.
I don't make up the rules I made up. These rules are set in stone from when I thought of them. Okay, I believe next on our plate
Who's next?
is Skeptical Mortician.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Skeptical Mortician. Are you an actual
Great
mortician?
audio quality.
I was a mortician for a short period of time, but not super long. And then
Now,
I mean,
did you call
longer
in and
than
I
I've been a
asked you about
mortician
this
for.
before?
No, this is actually my first time on one of the call-in streams.
Okay, I just know that like triggered a deja vu where I was like, wait, did I already have a mortician caller?
You know what?
I
Fair
guess
enough.
probably not.
It's a dying industry in more than one way, for sure.
Now, why is that? That's very funny, and I applaud you. But also, is it really a dying industry?
It is, yeah. They're having a really
Why?
hard time getting a lot of like younger people in the next generation kind of into becoming funeral directors or crematory operators or embalmers and stuff like that, just because it's a very expensive degree to get and it doesn't have
Is
very
it?
high reward.
Oh, really?
That's a problem. That's a huge
it also
problem.
has a very
Fascinating.
big- yeah, it also has a very big problem with alcoholism as well. So
Yeah.
and drug use. So
Jesus.
I've since left. but
Necrophilia.
yes, unfortunately, but
I was like, I think I was kidding, but also probably that does happen.
yeah, there's a few too many stories that I've heard.
Judging by
I'm
the
like,
first episode of Better Call Saul.
I have seen it too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's to say the least.
That's why. Is that why you got out of the field?
No, I got out of
Not
the
because of
field.
necrophilia, but just because like not a
No.
great industry to be in.
I got out of the field because I worked on a couple of cases that involved minors,
Oh.
and I ended up working on a suicide case on someone who was the same age as my cousin who had just committed suicide a couple weeks before.
Oh
Oy.
my god.
So
Oh my
just-
god, that's so hard.
Yeah, like the mental side of things. I was like, I
Yeah.
just got out of being a witness. I'm in a really good place mentally. I want to kind of safeguard that.
Yeah.
So take a break.
Jesus.
Well, good for
Yeah,
you
no,
for
it sounds like
having
a hard thing to do.
It
for having the
definitely-
awareness to step back from that for your own like mental health and
Mhm.
sense of peace, because that would be a very triggering environment to work in.
It was, and it definitely did teach me a lot about. It was a good growing experience, I should say. It was a good growing experience because I started it when I was 23, and then I left when I was about to turn 25. So it was a very good learning experience, and it taught me a lot about myself and the nature of humanity. So it gave me a lot of hope in humanity too, in a lot of ways that I did not anticipate.
That is
Oh, that's
interesting.
cool.
I wouldn't have thought that. Why? What about that gave you hope in humanity?
A lot of it was the families that I worked with and the people I worked with. Because I worked with many very strong-willed and independent women that I looked up to. And then the one guy that we worked with, he was the crematory operator. Whenever I had a question about like religious theology, he would be the first person I would go to. And he would give me like the thorses of information and be like, you should check out
That's
this book,
great.
you should check out this book, you should check out this book.
That's
And
nice.
yeah, it was super cool. And then the families I worked with, just seeing the genuine unconditional love that they had for their family members, or for sometimes it was just them and their family member, and they couldn't afford to have their family member like taken care of, and seeing how much they were willing to put their family member to rest in a peaceful way
Mm-hmm.
was very heartwarming, and
Yeah.
really showed me the best and the worst that humans can be at their worst points, at their lowest point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very
Wow.
interesting.
Now, did
The
you
only
have
mortician that-
something? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go
Danny.
ahead, Jake. No, you go ahead. I was just gonna say a dumb thing, so you go ahead. Please save me.
Well, I was just going to ask, skeptical mortician, did you have a something you wanted to call in about, or are you just kind of shooting the shit? I didn't, before I boot you, I wanted to make sure I got to if you had a thing.
Oh no, you're good. I had one question I wanted to ask y'all. When I finally allowed myself to do a lot of research on things, I really hyper focused on evolution and archaeology and the biblical text in a historical context. Did you guys or anyone in your comments kind of have something along those lines that you kind of hyper focused on when you left, and you're like, this is something I've always been super interested in and wanting to kind of claw my fingers into? If so, what did you guys kind of hyper focus on?
Yeah, what did you hyper focus on, Jake? Because I feel like when you're waking up, you hyper focus on like one thing, right?
Yeah,
what was the
that's a
one
great
thing that
question.
you hyper focused in? Yeah.
The one thing I hyper focused on was the evolution of first century Christianity as actual Bible scholars understood it, as opposed to how I learned it as a witness. I got really, really interested in the unsuccessful branches of Christianity, like the Gnostics in particular. During COVID, I started writing a novel that I hope to still come out with at some point, but I based it off of a modern day, like, resurrection of the Gnostic movement that was, it kind of has some of those apocryphal gospels, like the Gospel of Thomas and the Revelation of Mary or whatever the fuck. Like, it's got a really weird theology, and that was kind of the thing I got really interested in for whatever reason. But as relates to Jehovah's Witnesses, I think it was the crisis of conscience stuff, like that era of the governing body and the arc of the witnesses in reality.
That's cool. I think what I hyper focused on the most, like when I was first waking up, what I hyper focused the most was on this fellowshipping and the biblical basis for it, because I realized that there were no actually biblical basis for it. Like that one time that there's one guy that got this fellowship, immediately got like readmitted to the congregation like within a year, because it's like the first and the second letter, and there was like a year within it, and it was like this big thing. And I realized that was the very first thing that I realized, that it wasn't like, as Jehovah's Witnesses, we weren't actually doing things the way that the first century Christians were doing it. And then I wanted to do it. Okay. And then I wanted to realize what else were we doing wrong. But that was like the first thing. I spent like a week just reading everything about this fellowshipping and all of that stuff, and reading the first and second letter of Corinthians, which is where the Jehovah's Witnesses use it, and all of this. That's the thing that I hyper focused on the most. Like I wasn't a bibliological expert like Jake, researching like history and stuff. I was just like, oh, this fellowshipping sound bad.
Well, what's crazy is, and I realized this sometime last year, and I keep on attempting to pick up Crisis of Conscience and really, like, go through it again, is I inhaled all that stuff in that PMO stage in a matter of weeks and months. And you can kind of hear in that judicial committee recording that I did that I had a real, my Bible knowledge was really front of mind. And it just definitely isn't now. It's just gone. It's like how you need to really learn something for your IB World History class, but like
Yeah.
I was not the kind of student that was really good at retaining information. I was like learning for the test, and I don't really know what the test was in my brain, but it's not something I've kept up with as much. So I would have to brush up on that stuff. And now every time I talk about the Bible, I get it wrong in my videos every single time. I'm never right. What was your thing, Skeptical Mortish? What was your hyperfocus?
Mine was archaeology. Like since I
Oh
was
yeah, you did say that.
Yeah.
yeah,
The
But,
archaeology.
archaeology
Yeah, they-
for sure.
Because Jehovah's Witnesses always are like, oh, archaeology, basically. Like, it's just a matter of times till the archaeology proves all of Jehovah's Witness theology. Did you not see how there's
Yeah.
like something about Belteshazzar, which is the second name of Daniel, which means that he existed? Like, it's just, yeah, they always fool you into thinking that basically archaeology follows the Jehovah's Witness stuff. Like, they're basically on the same line.
Yeah, it would drive me nuts when one midweek meeting in the like spiritual gems, using air quotes here, they would have one article that was like, we know that the Bible is true because of this archaeological artifact that they found in like 1960 something, and then the next week it'd be like, we know archaeology, it doesn't confirm the Bible because of carbon
Yeah.
dating, and I'm like, this is so contradictory. Why are we doing this? This makes no sense.
Yep.
Archaeology
No,
is good
that's
when
great.
it defends our views. When it goes against our views, then it's bad. You shouldn't trust it.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for calling in. This has been a great conversation, and you're kicked from the studio.
Goodbye.
Good riddance. No hard feelings. I do want to briefly, before we get to our next caller, and feel free to sound off and chat about which one of you is first, because my instinct, I think I'm going to go an ancient blah 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 name that starts with an A, and then the name that starts with a B, Boyat play, and then Scott, and then the next bunch. That makes sense to me looking at the screen. It does not make sense to viewers right now. I wanted to shout out a couple comments that cropped in. Yes, like Bart Ehrman was definitely. I was listening to all of his lectures and stuff. All of
There's some
on
stuff that I don't agree
Audible.
with Bart Ehrman, but yeah, mostly he's mostly okay with everything.
And that's why, like, you know, now I know that there's maybe more public criticism of some of his stances on things, but I just don't know anything about that because I haven't kept up with that for whatever reason. I think once I get around to writing more about that stuff again, it'll be I'll get into that again. But now it's all been like I've been just reading about like Watchtower history and stuff, so that's been where my brain's been at. I gotta channel my hyper focusing. I also wanted to shout out. A lot of people said 607, 587.
Oh yeah, I need to make a video about it because it's a big one for a lot of people, and I mean it does dismantle pretty much everything when it comes to Jehovah's Witness, like their calendar of things that they expect. 1914, the last days, like all of that stuff is just debunked basically. Armageddon is debunked with that year.
Yeah, Oh, and Jenny Bloom said mythology. Somebody shouted out Esoterica, the channel Esoterica, which I feel like I've heard of.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Well, I only watch the
That's a
channels of people
proper
who call
expert.
into this show. So, and so far, that's really limited my ability to watch anything. So I'm really glad we got at least a couple of YouTubers here today.
And I hope
All right,
Mr.
so next
Beast calls
caller
in.
here. Now, I don't know how to pronounce this, but this is Unidentifiable.
Yeah, so I would probably pronounce that unidentifiable, just written in a really, really weird way.
It's very simple
In
when
an
you say it.
unidentifiable way.
Yeah.
That just was not hitting my brain for some reason. Well, how the hell are you unidentifiable? What brings you in to the
I'm good.
our little office
I'm
hours
good.
here?
No, I was sort of thinking about that. I've been bouncing around a bit because as the focus of the different callers have shifted, my focus has sort of shifted.
Yeah.
But I was thinking a lot about information and stuff that came up that was kind of formative and important to the waking up, and I remember when I was really burnt out from pioneering, and it was sort of moving to, I think this was moving like towards early COVID sort of thing, and both H-Bomber Guy and Folding Ideas obviously dropped some absolute bangers alongside.
They're amazing.
So great, so great.
The Flat Earth videos.
Yeah, that In Search of a Flat Earth is so beautiful and brilliant, and I love it. But just I was really ravenously, consuming a lot of content that focused on the different sociological phenomena and movements that the patterns that sort of make up cult rhetoric and pressuring members into behaving in a certain way. And it just became less and less what do you call it? English isn't a first language for me. So.
Oh, well, your English is amazing. Are you
thanks.
saying that
Mine either, so don't worry.
you watched it more and you started to see some parallels to Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah, it was like the parallels were undeniable, and where my focus sort of went was pretty much that, like the falsifiability of a god or all that stuff isn't something that you can ever really prove in its entirety. So my focus really became, if this is the best we've got, why are the psychological mechanisms in this group so harmful? Why is the way that this group operates so terrible for everyone that doesn't fit the mold? And that just really ground me down over time, until everything was just actively frustrating me. So like it was impossible to keep going to meetings because I was just shaking in anger over like some shit that they said, and I was like, yeah, can't keep doing that. Cannot keep doing that.
Man, that our stories are so similar, because that was exactly the same thing, and those same fixations too on like flat Earth and conspiracies, and you start to see the similarities. And what I think is interesting about that is, I don't know about you, did you start watching apostate content kind of after you had already given up faith in the religion?
I think yours was probably the first channel I sort of interacted with in that manner, because
I wasn't fishing, but I like what I caught.
All right. I mean, Jake's your favorite. All right,
I can take this one day.
We got there eventually. We got there eventually, Caleb. No, but like, if we just condense the timeline enormously, I just sort of, when I realized the enormity of the project that was, building a new life with no support, and just mid to late 20s starting from zilch, that was so overwhelming that I just shut down pretty much. And so I moved, and so my dad offered me to move in with him while I just sort of figured things out. And I was like, is that
Witness Dad?
Witness Dad, yeah. So, hindsight, maybe not the best call.
Well, your options are limited, right?
But I was like, I do not have the strength to get through this. And he was like, I could give you, a place to stay while you figure things out. And I'm like, okay. And if I'm not really, if I don't land on the witness side, would that still be fine? And he's like, obviously you should have some room to figure that out. And that response felt really hopeful to me. So when unfortunately turns out that as it became more and more clear that I was not going to stay a witness, his stance shifted quite aggressively.
Yeah, it's what usually happens, right? Like they have hope until you're like, no, I really don't want to be a witness.
Yeah, like obviously we want to, we want to respond in a loving and understanding way, because we assume that will lead you back to the congregation.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're allowed to question so long as you come to the correct answer.
Exactly.
Is
yeah.
That Jehovah's Witnesses have the truth, and if you reject that, then they can't possibly get through to you.
No, I mean, because obviously that's because your soul is at that point satanic, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you're too dangerous to the congregation.
Pride and hate is the only reason you could possibly reject the teachings of the church. Basically,
I'm glad you said that, because that is what they will throw at you, that you're prideful and hateful, and it doesn't really matter what you say or how you say it. It's because you're rejecting the religion. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you calling in. We're a little backlogged, so I'm gonna kind of do some speed rounds here. But thank you so much. Nothing personal, but you've been kicked.
I did like what he said at the beginning, that if this is made by God, basically, why is it so shitty? You know, I feel like that's a really good question to Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, if this is the best we got, how come it's so fucking horrible? Like, how come it's so bad and so like inefficient? That's a good question.
That is a good question. All right, now this is Boy at Play. Thank you for joining us.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Hi.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Shit. Okay, cool. What's up, guys? How's it going?
What's going on with you? What makes you want to call? That's a normal way to ask that, right?
Yeah, it sounds pretty normal.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually used to watch this show like right after my meetings. So it's pretty crazy that like I'm in my apartment just chilling. Like I just left my girlfriend's house, like, and now I'm just watching your streams, and it's just like, yo, this is so crazy how life just takes you to places, you know?
Worldly life.
So cool,
yeah.
It's so crazy.
That's sick.
That's awesome.
Cool. How long have you been out of the group?
So I left in November, towards like the end of November.
Recently.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's very recent.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that like my brother actually was kind of like the catalyst to help me leave. My younger brother actually.
Really? How?
Yeah, so he actually woke up like in high school, and he spent like 10 years being PMO, and he eventually like had like some issues, and he basically broke down, and his breakdown kind of opened my eyes to be like, it just to question like how this organization could do that to somebody, and how my parents reacted was just so shocking to me, because I thought they'd be there for him emotionally, but they kind of were ready to kick him out. And I was like, what? Like, aren't we supposed to help him? Like, why are we just abandoning? And this is your child. Like, what's going on? And so, so he eventually was like, yeah, I'm not going to meetings anymore. And like and then I just like had an honest conversation with him, and just kind of trying to figure out like, what exactly is keeping you from not wanting to be a witness anymore? And he basically just explained to me that like, yeah, he just doesn't believe in the legitimacy of the Bible, and he's big on evolution, and like he was just kind of like explaining that like he never really like was trying to force me to believe any of this stuff, but he was like, this is just where I'm at, and I just am not convinced. And for me, being his older brother, I felt like I needed to kind of preach to him. And it's like everything that I would like try to preach to him, he would like be able, how do you know that? Like you're making these claims, but what can you do to like demonstrate? Like what's demonstrable based off what you're saying? Is anything that you're saying observable, demonstrable, measurable? Like you're making these claims, what is the proof behind it? And I literally couldn't think of anything. And so that kind of made me question more and more about, the validity and, the claims that the organization makes. And it just took me down like a spiral. And then I think most witnesses come to this conclusion when like you reach the Australian Royal Commission. You're like, yeah, this ain't this ain't real, man. Like we gotta get out of the cult. And so
Yeah,
that
you can
kind
see
of
Jeffrey Jackson lying on stand and
the moment you
on
see
trial
that, it's like,
and be like, yeah, no, this is God.
There's no way God's behind this. Like he
Yeah.
literally said that there's no, like, this organization just is not the only organization that could be running by God. He himself said that.
Yes.
And it's like
The
he's saying
opposite,
that, the governing body
complete
is
opposite of what you're told is the truth.
Yeah, it's like, oh, wait, I thought you were supposed to defend the organization. What's going on? And then you realize, oh, he's just like any other religious leader, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's such an interesting like waking up story. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, because I woke up in December of 2023, and I kind of was PMO throughout that year because I knew that if I left, I would lose like my friends and family. So I kind of just spent that year associating with my friends and like my family and stuff. And eventually, what I thought was going to happen did happen, where my family was like, "Yeah, we can't fuck with you anymore. Like you're an apostate." And I never forced any of my ideas on them. I just said, "Hey, I just don't believe in this because," and I have reasons. And if they wanted to know, I was open to sharing that with them, but I was never going to force that on them. And when they forced me to force it on them, they were unhappy with the answer that I gave them, and they said, "Well, if this is the route you're going to take, then we can't associate with you." And I was like, "I understand, but just know that if you are ever open to having a conversation with me, I'm more than open to talking." Because if you're going to disown me, you know, I understand because I was raised in this stuff, but I'm not going to do the same to you. Like, you're my family.
Yeah.
You're my friends. So if you ever do, because I want to be that person that if someone is questioning, they can go to, you know. And so I don't want them to ever feel like, oh, I was rude to him, so I can't talk to him anymore. It's like, no, I mean, like, I think it's fucked up, but I understand, you know. So
Yeah,
That is so
man,
cool.
that sounds like
That's awesome.
we had a very similar approach with our families, and it's the way you said that is so true, that you don't want to force stuff on them, but then they think they want to know. They push you into it, and then so you tell them, and it upsets them.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because like I feel like I watch both of you guys' videos like all the time, but I noticed that like with Jake, like a lot of the stuff that you mention, like references, is like, oh shit, I'm watching that. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody's watching Severance, and it's just like watching Severance is just like this, like, whoa,
No spoilers. I'm behind. No spoilers, please. I'm behind.
my bad. But yeah, it's just such a great show and like such a great allegory to like the organization. Like me and my brother are watching it too, and it's just like, man, we're just catching so many of the similarities of like basically 'cause, like, they're obviously like taking inspiration from cults, and just how similar it is to how the organizations run is just so crazy.
I've got a PMO friend that I've been messaging, and our only connection is that we both really like Severance, and so we just that is, you know, that's been the conversation really. But it is really great. Well, thank you so much for calling, and this has been wonderful, and I'm so like happy to hear that story with your brother is, as we would say, encouraging. But you know, they don't get to own that word. And
also, it's so encouraging that you got to, like, you know, leave the Jehovah's Witnesses in your own terms. You were like, I'm gonna take advantage of this. I'm gonna chat with the people that I know are gonna shun me, and then you left on your own terms, which is cool because you're not gonna be able to leave this call on your own terms. So you know,
because they don't allow you to leave with dignity. So I wanted to at least have some control over like how I left. And obviously the elders like try to contact me, and I'm just like, I just don't want to talk right now because I didn't disassociate or anything like that. I didn't just get disfellowship. I just left, you know. And
you don't need to follow the rules. You know, why do you need to follow the rules? It makes no sense.
Exactly, you know.
That kind of seems like the way to play it. Well, hey, by the way, you're kicked. Hey, that's how sometimes it's quick. Sometimes it's really swift. Like justice.
And we need to shout out QC Man 2000 with another gifted one Outworld membership, allowing another person to become a member and support you.
You are you're so good at that, like little announcements. You know, that like little kind of Twitch announcement thing that I'm very much not good at. Okay,
I've
so
been
the
practicing,
lines,
but
by the
never
way,
get-
I
get-
have.
get donations or anything, so I only use it in your stream.
Well, it's to my gain, to our gain, really. And I've closed the lines. The people that we have here in the queue are going to be our last little bunch because we've been going for a little bit here, but we've got some excellent callers. Our next person on the list is Scott R. Jones, friend of the channel, XJW author. Scotty.
Gentlemen.
Ooh.
Can I call you Scotty? I've never said that to you before, but
No, you
whoa.
not really, but that's fine.
Not really. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna stick with it.
Cool. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say, and I got to go pick up my kid from rock climbing here in a little bit, so I won't be on long. But
Wow.
yeah, great show so far, guys. I came on when you were talking about witnesses and their musical taboos.
Oh my
And
God!
I
A
can-
lifetime ago, we talked about
Yeah,
these
I
things. But
can
that's
tell you
such a
from-
good. Bring us back to that. Yeah.
Sure. I can tell you from my experience that that's been the case forever. I got married in 1993 to a JW girl.
Wow.
I was 21. She was 19. We basically just couldn't wait to get to the sex. So
Oh.
we arranged to get married really quick, but
That's a
at
story
our-
with Jehovah's
at
Witness
our-
marriages.
What's that?
That's a story with Jehovah's Witness marriage. That's why you get
Exactly.
married as a Jehovah's Witness, so you
Exactly.
can get laid.
Yeah. And also we wanted to play some really cool music at our wedding dance, right?
Of
And
course.
the guy who gave our wedding talk basically freaked out during the party because Golden Weddings Radar Love came on. That was on the set list. So Radar Love, which has no sexual content at all. It's about a guy driving his car to get to his girl.
Don't worry, I got you. We'll find
Overnight.
this.
It's it's
Yeah, can we play it 5 seconds? Because I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah.
know that
We're
we'll
gonna get
fully
Radar
demonetized.
Love, Golden Earring.
both earrings Radar
All
Love.
right.
So I mean that is a deep cut. That's going way.
Can I tell
way,
you
way
something?
back. Mm.
I'm really glad that this is happening because I personally, like, when I think of the call-in shows, I want it to feel like the late night, kind of Heartlines on the
Yeah.
Shore kind of call-in shows, and
Right.
so now it feels like you have requested a love song.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
And
this love
so
song comes.
shout out to Scott R. Jones, Golden Earring, Radar Love.
I haven't
Oh,
listened
it's
to
on
this in
mute.
ages. I mean, it's a banger.
You need to
And
skip around.
were they there at your wedding?
Was Golden Earring at my wedding? Christ,
Yeah.
I wish.
That
No, that would have been a very different party, I think.
Oh, this is from Baby Driver.
It is indeed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Baby Driver.
Tambourine.
Oh shit! I just
Imagine-
realized I can't just play this.
Yeah, you can't. You have to skip around, otherwise we'll get demonetized over here.
Oh, I'm sure it's already happened. That's okay. If we were in it for the money, I don't know. It would just be a different show. I don't know what kind of show it would be.
I wish you all
Because then it would.
probably.
That's right. Well, how are you doing with your song choices now in life? Are you still listening to dirty, filthy music?
I listen to a lot of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I listen to a
That
lot
sounds disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty
I've never heard
awesome.
of that.
That sounds made up, but
Is that a Canadian band?
That is an Australian band.
Wow,
Oh,
that makes a lot.
Australian band.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Mizard.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. That sounds Australian.
Right.
Now that you said it.
Guys, check them out. I can't recommend them enough. Honestly, they're just musically, they're all about the music. They're all about the music, and absolutely none of it would be acceptable to Jehovah's Witness audiences. I don't think.
Ooh. So it's fun then.
It's absolutely fun. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great stuff. Mm-hmm.
I like this screen layout better, and I think that's the way it's going to be.
I think it's better. Yeah, I think it's better.
Well, Scott, will you be
Would
offended
I
if I kick you from the studio?
No, I gotta get going anyways. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
and
man.
here's a secret. Even if he was offended, it was going to happen anyway. because that's what I do. Now, our next person has been waiting so
You got to say
patiently.
goodbye. I did not like that.
That's
Nobody
true. I
should
really
get to say
was,
goodbye.
and that's my fault. And I'm going to actually remove Mariah Sieg, because I want to reassert that I do have power over what's happening on this stream and who gets kicked when. And I was trying to kick him before he got to say goodbye, but he was too fast. But Mariah, thank you for being patient. I'm so sorry.
Patient, if anything.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's so cool
Sorry
to
for
talk
our
to you
dumb
guys.
bits. Yay.
No, I love it. That's why I love you guys.
Oh, perfect. Well, that's great. That's what we're
I've
good
been
for.
meaning to talk to you because I know you're a hairstylist and my hair is
I
horrible. I
am.
don't know what to do with it. So what do you recommend, if anything?
I've been meaning to talk to you
that's-
about
that's-
Danny's hair as well.
That's my
so
call out,
let's-
just for you. Like this is just like a topic for you. Like nobody else is allowed to tell me what to do with my hair except you.
This is actually a planned intervention about your hair.
Ah, thank
So-
you.
I'm glad we
Okay.
could all be here today.
Are you?
I
I
we
don't
brought the
know that.
sisters and the dye because
Are you growing it out?
I'm trying to grow it out. I'm trying to grow it out like in a kind of like a wolf cut a little bit because I like how
Yeah.
everyone looks in a wolf cut, but I'm not sure that I can pull it off. And also, like I
You
just need
can.
to
I
like
promise
go
you
back
can.
and like dye it again because it's just like very overgrown. So
I'm
It'd be
really-
but I
crazy.
can't.
It'd be really crazy if you weren't trying to grow it out. And you're like, no, and it's just like it keeps growing anyway. Like, what the hell?
I went bald yesterday, and this just grew out overnight.
I'm not trying to do this, but it's happening. What's going on?
I think you,
You
should
do-
find
somebody
a trusted
earlier
professional
said-
to trim it up.
Oh, so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I need to trim it up a little bit. You think?
Yeah, just shape it up a little bit and let her go.
I need to go back to like that. That's the point. Like it's just I don't know. I feel like if I trim it up a bit, then it's just gonna look black now. And unless I actually pay to actually dye it back, and I like the blonde. But yeah,
I would
anyway.
pay someone. It's worth it.
Yeah, I know it's worth it. But I don't have the money. That's the point.
That's fair.
What is your topic though? Like we've taken too much time. What
No.
do you want to chat about?
So I have something really crazy happening this week. Me and my 70-year-old fully indoctrinated mother are getting matching butterfly tattoos
Whoa.
What? Where?
on the back of our shoulders. But I'm making
that's
sure
perfect for Jehovah's Witness because it's not like you don't actually see it all over the time. Like, it's
exactly.
out of sight, out of mind, kind of. Oh, that's good.
And
How did
we
you
don't have
convince her?
time. So the pipeline from like her literally not talking to me for 3 years to us getting mother-daughter tattoos is crazy. But I just texted her one day because she loves my tattoos. She always comments on my tattoos. And one day I just texted her and I was like, would you ever get like a matching tattoo with me? And she was like, no, maybe we can get like jewelry or something. And then she must have thought about it. Like an hour and a half
Yeah.
later, she messaged me inspiration pictures. And I was like, yes, we're doing this.
No.
Oh my god. Okay.
Awesome.
You should message Christina on social media because I don't want to tell her stories, but she's got a very similar experience. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I'm so happy
That's
for you though.
cool.
That's exciting.
That is so cool.
I'm really excited. I didn't ever expect to do this with my mom. And the person doing it is my best friend. She's also a tattoo artist and she's ex-Catholic. And we have a lot like in common with our upbringing and stuff. And she's also a lesbian. So like we trauma dump on each other all the time. It's great.
That's
That's
awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah, so she's doing it for us. So it's just going to be like this full circle, really healing, awesome, unexpected thing.
That is so
That's
cool.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Good for you.
How
And I just-
what is
yeah.
what is the butterfly design though? Is it like how big is it? Because now I'm trying to like picture it.
Yeah, is it going to be like on your whole
Also,
face?
Do you think
So
yes?
I had
Also,
a
do you
nightmare
think
about
maybe-
it.
Do you think maybe she actually wanted like maybe all of her life she wanted a tattoo, but everyone was like, no, you can't do it. So now that she kind of has an excuse, you kind of were like you're kind of like fulfilling this thing that maybe she wanted all along. Because it sounds like that, to me.
I
at
think
least.
so because
a
she'll
loaded
pop off
question.
sometimes and I'll go like drop off my kids over there and she'll have like a temporary tattoo on her neck and she's like, do you like my tattoo? And I'm like, what's going on, Susan? Like, what is this? Yeah.
That is so.
So
She totally wanted one all along. That is so heartwarming. I love this story.
I think like the happiest but also saddest part about being older and like forgiving my mom for a lot and us healing our relationship is realizing that me and her are so much more alike, but the qualities in me that are like out there, she has to hold inside of herself still. So
Yeah,
I think this is going to be really good for both of us.
That's a part of the new personality.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love that you said that way, Mariah, because I feel that kind of sadness for my parents where I feel like, I know that my dad has this quality too, but he holds it back because of the witnesses.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
he's embarrassed of this and he shouldn't be. And that's a weird kind of thing that's really specific to like leaving a cult, I think. I mean, all kids experience that with their parents, but like to be unable to talk about it when you're shunned is weird.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Okay, I just realized I'm like nervously sipping a drink too, so I hope you don't hear this like disgusting slurping noise every once in a while.
We disgustingly slurp and eat on mic all the time.
Okay, perfect.
Wait. No, Mariah, we have a perfect solution to this problem. And the great thing about it is that it's so quick and it doesn't take a long time to
My
find it.
church had been giving me ass to drink, but now I was freely receiving, the water of life.
Perfect.
I love it.
Oh my
Perfect.
god, your
Take a water
edits
break.
absolutely destroy me.
I am sadly out of water, so if my voice starts getting a little dry and raspy. Now, did you have anything else you wanted to throw at us before we throw you out of the studio?
Just that you guys are wonderful, and I found your channels like 3 years ago, even though I've been out for 12 years. But
Oh wow,
it's
12
just,
years.
it's just made a really big difference in my life, and you guys are so cool, and I'm definitely in a parasocial bestie friendship with both of you. So
I mean, I literally know
It
what
goes
you do
both
for a living.
ways,
So
the parasocial
yeah, that's fair.
I have a parasocial relationship with you.
That's fair.
It's true, yeah. Like every week it's the same people in chat and we're
Exactly.
literally chatting, and it's so I feel like I know people and I don't, it's a weird thing with the
I do
internet.
have parasocial relationships with my viewers. Like that just happened.
I just keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
I just keep an eye on it. And it's only creepy if you don't kick people from the studio, which I do.
True.
And it just happens
That's
without
true.
them even being able to say goodbye.
You know what she said though? Like she said that something that you also touched on, that both of your parents like are kind of like alike, but they held back from being themselves basically, and that kind of ties into like a video that I've been working on for months now about how you cannot be a good person in a Jehovah's Witness, because if you want to be like, it's like kind of like ACAB, like you can't really be that. You can be good. You can find good people in the Jehovah's Witness, but you'll find them because they go against their indoctrination, and that's when they do good things. But if you actually try to do just your indoctrination, that makes you into a bad person. So what? I think
all congregations are bastards.
Oh my God! There you. That's what I'm tattooing on my knuckles now.
Thumbnail. Yeah, all congregations are bastards on your knuckles.
I'll get stopped by the cops and I'll be like, "Oh, it means congregation. I'm an Jehovah's
It'll
Witness."
totally fit. No, let me show you my YouTube channel. I promise. I love that. Okay, we've got 2 more callers, folks.
Ooh, awesome.
Don't touch that dial. And if you're watching this with a dial, you've time traveled or gone through one of those portals from Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. Blep,
I'd love to see
I'm
that.
sorry that was your intro.
Hi. Okay. Hello there.
Oh my
Blep.
God! What
Can
an
I tell you something?
amazing drawing. That's awesome.
Yes. I also was going to comment on the drawing and say that I was expecting you to sound like a male duck detective. Maybe
I'm a little bit
gruff.
disappointed too.
Oh yes, detective.
Yeah, I mean, he's a detective with a knife, right? Because the guy from earlier stole his magnifying glass.
Oh yeah.
That's what we call a callback in the biz, by the way.
How's it going? What do you want to chat about?
Hi, buddy.
Okay, so I kind of want to answer one of the prompts that you had, which is like,
Yes.
what is the best way to take down Watchtower?
Oh, yes.
I am Pimo.
Let's do it.
I am Pimo, definitely. Oh my god.
You're Pimo, okay. Yeah, don't be distracted by this, Detective.
I know, but it's so funny. But yes, so I am currently Pimo.
Okay.
And I'm working as a secret spy. So yeah, detective is very fitting.
Awesome.
So I wanted like bring out just a little bit of backstory as to like how I found out I was Pimo.
Yeah, please do.
I am like a few months away from 18, but I found out that I was Pimo ever since my parents got divorced and stuff, because a lot of the issues that had taken place, like with my dad's side of the family, is like you can see very obviously that there's no love in the Jehovah's Witness organization, especially with my grandparents being elders, being ministerial servants and such. I will not say the family name, but it is written in Watchtower documents. So it's interesting. So I come from that family name. Maybe in a later thing, I'll say it once I'm finally Pomo.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Subscribe if you want to find out.
But yes, be careful, of course, about, outing yourself or anything.
Absolutely, and I am careful with that. But
so what happened after?
So I found out my dad cheated. Obviously, it was a whole thing. Which horrible person. I'm at his house right now, but balcony, sunny sunny Florida right now. Outside, so you'll hear noises.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry.
So I don't like my dad for what he has done. My mom's been taking care of us, but she's ultra PMing. And it's a little bit difficult to find out. With the personal issues that I've had, along with finding out historical inaccuracies in the Jehovah's Witness organization, I have found out this is definitely not the religion of God. And it's definitely difficult to be like, oh, my mom is still in this religious organization and I love her so much, but then at the same time, she's following all these Jehovah's Witness rules, and I'm gonna get in trouble if I don't if I say something against it.
Right. Does she know at this point about the cheating then?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Private investigators, lawyers, all that stuff. It was. I have gotten a lot of respect for her about that, and it's really interesting. So my dad blessed his fellowship for a while, but that's also one of the reasons why I don't like him and his family, was because of the fact that his father, again, elder, he's the Kobe of the congregation and everything. He got him back into the religion in less than 2 years. And that was very unfair, especially for my mom and especially for me too, because our elders, the elders in our congregation, don't get me wrong, they were good people, but again, my grandfather convinced the circuit overseer and convinced other elders of other congregations to get him back in, even though we have all these proof of what he has done, even though we had all this stuff against him. So, yeah.
That sounds horrible, but horrible and yet familiar. If you ever known Jehovah's Witness stuff, but hey, go back to what you said in the beginning. How do we end this religion? How do we fight against it?
So I have found out a lot of historical inaccuracies. Raymond Fran's books on the crisis of conscience, the 607 BCE, doctrine, and even God's name as well. I found out a lot of translation of God's names, of Yahweh and Yehovah, and and even like Jesus's name as well, like it's Yeshua. Okay, and I just like finding out all this stuff, finding out the historical inaccuracies of what 6 to 7 BCE entails. Like I'm telling you right now, astronomers, archaeologists, Bible scholars, and historians, they all agree the same thing. 586 to 587 BCE was when Jerusalem fell. And like doing all these research, especially in this couple of months, I'm telling you, I have like 10-page Google Docs all about this that I've written out.
Yeah, well,
that's been
basically-
your like. Oh, so that's been like your hyperfixation, and or like the thing we were talking about earlier. Like that's the thing you've been like researching the most.
Oh, 100%, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I love
and then
that stuff.
I do this. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask. Like, did you find that your like perception of the religion's history has changed? Like, did you have a positive view of the witness history? Like, how much did you buy into the narrative of? I'm sorry, I'm not asking this very well, but like, how much did you believe about like our religion was really founded by God, and this was all prophesied? Was that stuff important to you as a witness?
So that's interesting. I was kind of out of it. Like, I didn't know any of the terms. I was too scared to look onto YouTube, to look onto, like Reddit or Quora or anything. And even Quora, like that's an interesting place on its own. But it was difficult for me to do that before, because I was scared of that. I kind of came to terms when I was like 13, 14 about the fact that I didn't want to be here anymore. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be here anymore. I'm going to die at Armageddon. Okay? Like, that was...
You accepted, like, that you were going to die at Armageddon.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's so
And
sad.
I didn't want to do that. But then finding out, again, these historical inaccuracies is just like, wait a minute. So this is just wrong in general. And the people as well. Not only do you have, this one side, but you also have the people as well. Like, a lot of them are really bad. They're not that good. So how is this the religion of God when in reality there are a lot of people, and even the Australian Royal Commission, like I forgot to mention that as well. Like that also definitely did wake me up.
What was the last thing you said?
The Australian Royal Commission.
The Australian Royal Commission, yeah.
Of course.
Absolutely.
So that,
Well, I'm going to... Sorry to rush you along, but I'm just going to move on just because I'm running over. So this is a not you, it's me situation. I want you to know.
absolutely. Thank you so much for talking to me anyways.
But you have delighted us with that duck picture and your detective work, and and thank you for sharing, because that's really heavy stuff.
Yes.
And I'm sorry that you had to go through that shit, because that's a rough way to find out that there are problems with this religion.
Yeah.
It's fine, I guess. I mean, like, listen, at least I found out sooner than later.
Exactly. That's a good attitude to have.
Yep. And you know what else is good? Don't be offended when you get kicked from the studio. That's my favorite attitude. All right, our final caller. Very exciting. Gaia.
Hello.
Hi, Gaia. We've talked on the show before, have we not?
Yeah, we have, yes.
Okay, I thought I recognized the username and an avatar.
It's my D&D character.
Oh, that's so cool!
Excellent.
I love that.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your D&D character.
Oh, her name is Safuneth, and she's a tiefling, and she has a similar-
Tiefling?
Yes. A tiefling is a race that has horns, and it's kind of demonic, kind of humanoid.
Can you not see the horns, Jake?
This is
Come on.
good. I need to look into this.
sorry
How do you
for
spell
Jake.
that? Because, well, I'm always doodling.
Tiefling.
Oh, Tiefling Baldur's Gate 3 comes up right away. All right, I need to look into the lore, because I'm always doodling people with horns and stuff. I need to get the lore. Well, what brings you in today to whatever
Well-
this is?
It's just fun to be in company, guys. I just like the community, and I'm here. I don't have anything to do. It's night in Italy, so it's nice to
You're in
pass some
Italy?
time with you. Yeah.
That is so cool. Oh my god, I'm just here in freaking Mexico, and when I could be in
I'm
Italy.
just here in America.
That's worse. That is significantly worse. You won this one.
But we're united by Dungeons and Dragons, a thing that an ex-Jehovah's Witness created.
Wow. Yes, and
Yeah.
very demonic, very bad.
Exactly.
Now,
So
when
you're an
you were a
ex-Jehovah's
Jehovah's
Witness,
Witness,
Oh,
Yes.
you
yes,
you were
I
a
was-
Jehovah's Witness.
I was born and raised.
Oh,
when you
sure.
were a witness, were you afraid of demons?
Oh my God, yes, so much. I had an
Same.
experience that was close to me with a woman that used to study with my mom. She
Oh.
probably had a psychotic break of some kind,
Uh-huh.
but she was deemed as some demonic possession, and my father was the one kind of performing the quote unquote exorcism of her.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What
Yeah.
was his process?
What happened?
He was like, he used to call her maybe daily, praying for her and asking her if she had any bad objects left in the house, because she was a Romanian girl, Romanian woman, so they are
Yeah.
Orthodox in Romania, and
Mm.
so they have many paintings and kind of iconography, and she was married to an Italian man, a southern Italian man, which was very Catholic. So they both had some paintings in the house. And basically, my father was trying to coach her into declaring that those paintings weren't hers anymore. And apparently that made the demonic possession stop, basically.
Getting rid of the painting?
Wow.
Yeah, she couldn't throw them out because they were also her husband's.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, it
she-
wasn't
at
just
some point-
hers.
yeah, she had to declare to her husband that she didn't want them anymore.
That she
Wow.
renounced her ownership of that, basically.
Yes, basically, yes.
Oh my
And
god! And then it stopped.
It
That
did.
worked.
It did stop.
Oh my god!
It did stop. She stopped having delirium and voices. She had delirium and voices, and those voices apparently were from her ancestors for her, and they would tell her stuff to bring plates out in the snow, some weird shit. And yeah.
Can I steal some of this, by the way? Can I steal any of this for the...
Oh, please do, please
For the
do.
book that's
Okay.
dividing
By the way,
Jesus.
I'm
This-
the same person that has been asking you with a big insistency about your novels. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
waiting. Yes, I can't wait. To
Yes.
read it entirely. Yes.
Yes. Well, it's going to come out. There are reasons why it hasn't that are good that I can't talk
sure,
about.
No pressuring you.
Yeah. Oh no. But I'm really excited to share it. But I'm also still working on it. So
Yeah, there are
all
good
these
reasons why it's not out yet, and hopefully it's gonna be out in a better way than if it
maybe,
had been
but
out already.
probably not. But we'll
It's gonna
see.
be great.
But
it's gonna be great.
I love that plate of snow thing for some reason. That's such an
Yeah.
amazing specific. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
it was
amazing.
specific.
Theatrical.
They have
Yeah,
snow
but-
in Italy. I guess I didn't know that.
It used to. It used to.
They make it out of
yes.
pizza, man.
Does it not snow as much there? They make it out of pizza. It's just a cheese grater, just shredding Parmesan cheese.
Oh, I wish. No, it used
Okay,
to,
well-
global warming and stuff.
That's
Yeah.
so unfortunate. Well,
Yeah.
wait, okay, so she got rid of the painting eventually, or like the husband did?
So she got rid of little stuff, and then the rest of the stuff she asked the husband to have the sole ownership of those paintings. And after that, she felt better, and she
That is such a
painting.
weird minor change.
Yes. Wait. So she's still living with those paintings now?
Yeah, I suppose.
She broke up with the paintings and it worked. That's
Yeah.
that's so weird.
That's crazy. That's an insane story.
Wow.
Yes, it was scary. I was basically a child, so yeah.
Yeah, that would be very
that
scary.
would traumatize you as well. Like you have a family member that was tormented by demons. I remember that I couldn't even be alone, like in bed by myself, like in the house alone, because I would be like, there's demons around me. Nobody's here to protect me. But you are like, no, there's demons around me, and they're looking for a new person. Like that's even worse.
Oh my god,
Have you
that is so
ever-
bananas.
Have you ever was it a thing for you guys over there that Furbies were demonic?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Yes,
it was
of course.
controversial among witnesses, but definitely among my area and the mom coalition.
Yeah.
That they had decided that Furbies were demonic. And I think I agree with them to this day that they are right.
That is, they were on the money on that.
I remember
But I know-
being gifted one, and my father then throwing it away because I had some I thought it moved at some point.
It's like, yeah, it probably did.
That's what they do. you know that.
Instead of
right?
moving its eyes and saying crazy things. Some alien language.
Oh, man,
That's really wild.
insane.
Furby was like that, and really any trend, because Pokemon were like that.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And that one was demonic by way of evolution being invented by Satan. And
And also, it's
I-
Pocket Demon. Pocket Demon, man.
Yeah,
that's what
that-
it,
Pocket
that's what
monsters
it,
and monsters
Pocket
are demons.
Pocket Demon.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard the second one actually.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah.
Mine was more mainstream then. That is so cool. That is so interesting, though. And also your audio quality, superb. I'm just saying,
Oh, thank you.
perfect
That's
audio
true.
quality.
Thank you.
It's really a perfect final call. Do you have any last words, Gaia?
I wanted to ask you if you've ever thought about changing your last name.
That's an amazing question. Can I kick you from the studio while I answer the question? The answer is yes, I can, because I just did. But thank you so much for calling. That was an amazing call.
That
Yeah,
was a
I
lovely
have.
call.
That was really great, and that is a great question. Danny, can you go first? Have you thought about this? And I'm going to ask you to go first because I desperately need water, and I will be able to hear you through the power of Bluetooth headphones.
Oh, my
Have you thought about
religion is
changing your
giving
name?
me come the water of life. There you go. I didn't say. I technically have a sort of. I don't actually go for the name that I was born. I was born as Daniel Lopez Lerma, and usually I just go by Daniel Lerman with an N at the end because I think just when like 15 years ago I thought it sounded cooler, so I was just started to go for that, like as Dan Lerman or Danny Lerman. That's just how you will find me usually on social media, and now I'm like I could like just not do that anymore or whatever, but I don't like most of my family from both sides, so now I'm like, you know what, it's fine if I just change up the last name, because like it's so stupid, and it's just like a connection to your family, a family that I don't really care that much for or talk that much about. So I technically have already, like, I've always gone by Dan Lerman, even though that's not really exactly my last name. How about you? Jake Vaughn sounds really good though. That sounds, honestly, that sounds like movie person kind of name.
Good. I need something that sounds like a YouTube person, because that's where I really need the energy to come. But I need the energy to come. What the fuck am I saying? I think about this a lot because, like, if anybody watching this has seen my video where I talk about why I left the witnesses, like, my family is well known in the area, and they're like, I guess, like one of our previous callers, they like where their name maybe like appears in the publication somewhere. Like my name does too, Kreitz, like Jacob Kreitz. Like if you look up Kreitz, you'll see a story about somebody in my family, and so that kind of makes me feel like, well, the name is so attached to Jehovah's Witnesses, and maybe I should change it. But mostly I just have never liked my last name because I just don't like the sound of it, and I think I don't know, it just doesn't sound cool, and it sounds like Christ.
That your
and
real
people,
last name is Kreitz, and that's just weird.
Right.
It sounds like
So
you're
Jacob
Von, you're saying Christ.
Jacob Von Kreitz kind of sounds cool. Like I have that on the cover of Not a Cult right now.
Jacob
like Jacob
Von Kreitz. That sounds like from the 18th century.
Right, it sounds like Hans Christian Andersen or something. Like it sounds like old timey. I think Mr. Jake Beast. Yeah, perfect.
Hold on, like I had to like repress my laughter because Jetty Bloom says that Lerman sounds very white, and Joe Trevino says the guitar on the wall negates the whiteness of his name, which is like that's a callback.
Callback. We're all callbacking together. So sorry, by the way. Yes, nothing personal at all. I just happened to have like we had like 4 remaining calls about a half hour ago, and I just kind of did a cut off. But yeah,
Daniel Vaughn. That is how we are gonna call our child that you and I are gonna have together.
What are we gonna name our child?
Daniel Vaughn, like Tuna.
Daniel Vaughn. I don't know. I gotta talk about. We'll talk about this off mic.
I think woman, okay.
This is our child, okay? We have to be on the same page about this. But yeah, I have thought about it, I guess. But Vaughn is also Von Kreitz was my great grandfather. His first name is Vaughn, and so no matter which way I go, I kind of have some attachment to that thing, and I don't have any cool last name in mind that I've always wanted to use as like an alter ego. So I've just never been able to really thought about it. And
wait, did you say that your grandfather was also named?
It is.
Von Kreitz?
Yeah. So my great grandfather's name was Von Kreitz.
It's just
I'm Jacob Von
your family tree, or like what happened there?
What do you mean? What's it?
You know, like is it just cousins in your family tree, or what happened there? How come it's the same first name and the same 2 last names?
What? I don't think I understand what you're saying. It's Vaughn.
Yeah, but he's Von Kreitz as well, so he has like the 2
Vaughn is his first. No. Vaughn is his first name.
Oh,
Kreitz is his last name.
Okay, now
Vaughn is my middle name. Yeah, Vaughn. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I did unironically for, 5 minutes think about changing my last name to Skywalker, and I thought, even for me, that's a lot.
When you were,
what level of irony are we really achieving there? I don't know.
Were you thinking about that when you were a child, or were you thinking about that like 5 minutes ago?
No, like when I left the Witnesses. Well, on Second School with Ben Ford, we talked to Cheyenne Summers, who's an ex-JW who did change her name after she left, and we talked about that because it was something that we had both thought about, and she has a video about it on her channel. And so there was a little bit where I did think about it, and the only thing that I was like thought would be funny was Skywalker, and I'm like, why would I want to give myself a funny, ironic last name? So that I'm literally saying that was a thought that maybe lasted 5 seconds, but yeah, I don't have any good alternatives unless, I don't know. So, sound off in chat in the comments after this stream about what I could change my last name to, like real last names, but like, like Jason Bourne.
How about an N and then Bake? So your name is Jake and Bake.
Jake and Bake.
I think it will be a good one. It will be a good name. I'm just saying.
It's cheesy, but this is unironically why I like Rey as a character. Don't make decisions about your name that Rise of Skywalker would make. Well, this is why I should do it.
Oh,
Jake
man.
Giddies? Gites?
Jake,
here's
Jake and Bake. How many likes? How many likes do we have to leave in this video for you to change your name officially to Jake and Bake? How about 100?
I would do it if this video got 1 million views. If this live stream, which never had more than 130 people at one time, gets 1 million views, I will legally change my name to Jake and Bake, and you can take that to the bank.
How about 4 views? How about 4 views? 5.
How about 4 views?
Yeah.
Well, we obviously surpassed that immediately.
All right, let's do it then.
No, I never consented to that. We talked about consent earlier in the stream, and clearly Danny didn't learn anything about it. Jake and Bake. That's so if this is really important to you, don't really try and promote any of the videos I put work into. But 1 million views on this one, and I'll legally change my name to Jake and Bake.
People are liking
goals.
Jake and Bake.
I like this actually. Jake Lively.
Okay. We're in competition for those 2 names. Those 2 names are like
Jake
competition for your
is kind
name.
of good.
Jake Lively.
I do like that. Jake Lively.
That is a good one.
I did think about making a blog called Jake Writes, because Jake Kreitz is my name.
I think only you would get it though. Like, everyone would be like, hey, it's Jake, and he's writing it.
It's funny if you know the pronunciation of my real last name. Apostate Jake. I have thought about changing the name of the channel to something like that.
Because I have thought of putting apostate all through my knuckles for a while now. Because you have exactly the amount of knuckles.
You got the right amount of knuckles, and not everybody does. Sad to say.
Exactly, and like this line even like could be like part of the T, for instance, like because I have like a tattoo already, and I could just make it like into a T.
A tattoo.
I could incorporate it. I'm just saying. If I get $1 million on Patreon, I'll do it.
We would do basically anything for $1 million.
Oh yes, of course.
But your hand would say Tate, though, and this is what you got to think about.
Oh no, you're totally right.
Because that's just like...
No, wait, you have to read it all together. Oh my God.
You're one wood chipper incident from just being a Tate guy with no... you would have to just like write a pos on your stump.
Oh my God, that is... I had literally never thought of that. I've thought about this for like 2 years, and I have literally never thought of that. That is such a good catch.
Jacob. Jake Musk. I don't actually think that's very funny. But we are looking into that. We're looking into Jake Musk. Thank you. And comedy is legal again, guys.
That's awesome. I'm so happy that comedy is legal and that we can say Merry Christmas again. Just
oh my God, Merry Christmas to all 13 children that I'm aware of.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas. It's just and
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank the Christ as well. Let's bring the 10 Commandments to the children's playgrounds. Children need to know that they cannot boil a goat in its mother's milk. That's it. That's why this country is going to shit, because they don't know that. We don't have
that's in the Bible.
That's in
the water of life.
Sorry, I do that so it's not distracting when I drink water. Well, let me. We do need to start wrapping up here, but before we do that, I do want to get to some plugs. Perhaps we can plug some merchandise.
These clothes are designed to sexually excite both men and women.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
I know. That's probably the best sound drop I have, actually, but it's a little quiet for some reason. But merch. I've got some merch. I've got shirts. If you want a Devil Cat shirt, which is just a devil cat that I doodled, you can get that, or the All World Lead logo, and there'll be some other designs and shit coming. And also just watch the videos that I make on the main channel and send them to famous people. Send them to famous
Your
people
grandma.
and tell them, hey, you're famous. You should...
To The Rock.
Send it to The Rock. Don't send it to The Rock.
And be like, these guys are paper and scissors. You love them.
Why would he say that? Is that something he says?
No. You will say that. You will say, like, if you send it to The Rock, you will be like, these guys are paper and scissors. You will love
Oh
them,
my
The
God,
Rock.
how did I miss
And then
that?
he'll be like, "Oh
That's
my God,
brilliant.
nobody has ever said any of that to me ever. This is the first rock paper scissors joke that I've ever heard."
I didn't realize that he changed his last name to Valkai. That's really cool. He should come on the channel, but I don't actually want to do any
But
work to invite people anymore.
He actually knows. He actually knows his stuff, though. Like he's that. We were talking in the beginning how we're idiots and we don't know anything about YouTube. He isn't an idiot like us. So I feel like I don't know. Like I would love to have him in my channel too, but then I'm like he's like a proper guy, you know.
I want to get a sciencey person to kind of go through some of the Watchtower publications. I think that would be fun. So if anybody wants to entirely arrange that for me, and I don't have to put in any work or schedule anything, or send any emails, or be nice to anyone, or try to make friends, or put in any amount of effort into planning, then
can you guys make friends for us, and then we interview the friends that you made for us, and then that's how we meet them, you know. That way we don't have to. We can just do it live. We could just do it on the next live stream.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. You've also got merch and stuff, and people should do that. Okay, I'm going to make some videos now that I'm done doing this stream. And so let's go out with a little clip. I tell you what we're going to go out with. Is a video I made that really is bad, I think. I don't think it really... Well,
good. Let's end on a bad thing you made. That's good.
Can we end on a video I made that I think is bad and a mistake?
And then making your audience want less of you. That's how you end things.
I think that we should embrace not just all this kind of fappy self-care shit we've been doing on stream where we're like, oh, great job. Like, I think we should also acknowledge the fact that sometimes we fail miserably in trying to make, well, I'll say it, art. You know, it's a messy process.
More like fart sometimes.
And sometimes it's more like fart, and we can say that, and we should say it. And this might be a fart, and it might actually contain fart sound effects. I don't quite remember. But I want to just go out on this because I made it, and, you know, quite frankly, I don't know if it's good or bad. Does it have not enough jokes? Yeah, I think that's absolutely true, but that's also what I was going for, but, you know, it's hard to say. Okay, well, we'll just let this play out, and this is the kind of content, the kind of possibly bad and worthless content that you can get by becoming a Patreon or member, or whatever we call it, whatever we're supposed to call it these days. Okay, goodbye.
Well, I'd like to tell you, very briefly, 2 sad stories. Now, here's sad story number 1. Do you remember Jehoiada? He was one of the best. The young king Jehoash, him to be a good king, but old Jehoiada, bad king.
That's sad story number 1.
On its heels, we have sad story number 2. You remember that the Apostle John died. Well, he was the sole surviving apostle, the last restraint against apostasy. So after John passed off the scene, it was not long before something happened.
What was it? What happened when John died? Well, the last restraint against apostasy. He was the last restraint.
And now he's gone. Now, why mention those sad stories? Now, here's the reason. Some may wonder the reason, but here's the reason.
Well, what do you think?
Well, here's the answer. Those Bible accounts will not happen. Finally, Jehovah had to jack off those wicked people, including the governing body. Many times, not just once, the governing body was given an unusual honor. Beat themselves jacking off, maybe even coming. Yeah. Now that's interesting. Godspeed, people. Yeah. Ka-boom.